Bong Pineda. No? Anyway,
Ayan, si
wala
Senador
namang
Lacson po
personalan
yan.
ito. No? Even, maski na nasa servisyo
Yung
ko, wala
Committee on
namang
Games and Amusement, Bong Pineda, waiting.
Ko siya lagi noon. Anyway, the messenger, I won't mention his name anymore, informed me that yes, I will convey your message, and initially, gusto na makipag-usap. Wag lang sa office kasi baka may media. Sabi ko, regardless of where we meet, I just like to get a lowdown from him. Ano ba talaga nangyayari sa Operation ISL? Because it's not only in Camarines Sur that he is reportedly the operator behind the operator, the licensed operator, the AAC. So it was conveyed, and then events came about, na overtaken on developments. The next message that I received from the same person, from the same manager was, hindi na makikipag-usap kasi na-terminate na rin yung license to operate ng event chance. And ako yung nag-recommend or nag-order ng termination. Sabi ko sa kanya, it's up to him. I'm not forcing him to talk to me. I'm not forcing him to give me information. But kung puro personal pala, ang purpose pala ng pakipag-meeting niya is parang mapa-reconsider yung pinag-usapan natin last time na wag ma-terminate yung event chance, then it's all personal. So why am I telling you this? It only shows na totoo nga na si Bong Pineda nag-operate sa Camarines Sur. Di ba? And not only Camarines Sur, but in other areas na kung saan, iba nyo man nakalista sa nakalistang AAC ninyo. Now the question is, and I know that the board, or at least the GM, or some AGMs would know, sino talaga yung totoong operators dito sa mga naka-front na mga STL operators. I suppose you know that. And how do we prevent this? Because according to the PNP, during the last hearing, sila na lang yung laging whipping boy, hindi ba? Dahil pag nanguhuli, kakasuhan sila because sasabihin ang allegation, ano kami, license kami. Nasaan yung ID? Hindi pa na-update. So sila pa yung nakakasuhan. And I've talked to several provincial directors and they share the same experience. So how do we solve that nagging problem? Na lagi na lang ginigirila, lagi na lang may bukis, hindi naman pumapasok sa gobyerno. Last time we also discussed about the potential revenues na dapat nakitain ng gobyerno through the Pcso for charity. And we're talking about 200 million pesos daily. Sa PMR ninyo, 1.7 billion a year. Pag-translate natin doon sa 200 million a day,
a month, sir.
A month pala, yeah, 1.7 billion a month. Pagka kinuwenta natin yung 200 million pesos daily, and we have here a resource person na one of the sources that yung sinabi ko kanina doon sa 200 million figure daily. Easily, that's 6 billion, di ba? Which is a far cry, or yung 1.7 is a far cry from the 6 billion potential revenues ng Pcso. Now the question is, how do we solve that problem? How do we maximize the earnings of Pcso para sa charity? And kasi kung hindi rin lang kayang i-contain, hindi rin lang kayang makuha ng Pcso yung dapat makuha, we might as well not include in the bill the operation of STL. Para pag naging batas, sayang eh. While ang crowning glory ninyo, sinasabi lagi ni GM Balutan and even Chairman Corpus at the time, dati nga, ganito lang ngayon, 1.7 na eh. Dapat matuwa tayo. Yes, dapat matuwa, pero hindi tayo dapat talagang matuwa kasi ang laki pa rin ng shortage. So, would you, your thoughts?
Si Chair, can I say something?
After Attorney Sontay.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Senator. While we have just been sitting in the board for a few months, a few weeks. Well, we've noticed that it's true that there have been the direction of the Pcso is really to strengthen its revenue collection. While it's true that the presumed daily earnings 200 million, I believe we have to take into consideration because sa STL ho 40% lang ang nababalik sa Pcso because 60% is kept by the AAC kasi sila ho yung sumasagot nung prices nung mga nanalo. However, upon reviewing the documents, I have noticed that on a monthly basis, sir, in fairness to the previous chairman and the previous board, on a monthly basis, talaga naman month on month tumataas at and if you notice there was I believe a 346% increase compared to the previous year. But of course, there are still ways to strengthen the controls by revising the implementing rules. In fact, last week the SMG with our new chairman has already met, and we have considered during our last meeting sa board on how to want to introduce some amendments to the IRR in order to strengthen the controls, so that to ensure that more revenues will go to the Pcso, and that little discretion is left to the GM or to the board in implementing a termination or suspension of airing AACs.
Congressman Villaperte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In relation po dun sa last hearing that was mentioned that the Pcso can actually collect 200 million a day or 6 billion in a month, there is strong basis for that because based on the study I made, if Pcso just stuck to the formula they made, which is population times 30% times 250 times 3 draws, Mr. Chair, they could have easily raised the amount of 6.2 billion a month. So may basis po yung 200 million a day. Ngayon yung sinasabi po nyo na 40% is retained. Even if only 40% is retained times 6.2, dapat over 2.5, almost 2.5 billion a month ang nare-retain. But now it's only 1.7. But going back, Mr. Chair, kung sinunod lang po ng Pcso yung formula that they have set, then there might be less problems. Then another area, Mr. Chair, that I would like to point out is the revenue allocation. Can you show the revenue allocation? The revenue allocation as per the IRR, may computation po yon na overlook po ngayon kasi po yung documentary stamp tax na mention ko po during the hearing of in Congress, nakalagay lang po sa inyo 10%. Can you show the slide, yung dun sa revenue allocation, please? Mr. Chair, I would like to point out, since the passage of the train, yung 10% na documentary tax, back. Yung 10% documentary tax na nilamp nila under the charity fund is now 20%. So the question being, saan kukunin po yung 10% na additional? Then during the congressional hearing a few weeks ago, sinabi nila kukunin raw yun sa charity fund. Number one, nandito naman ang COA, how can a documentary tax be charged under the charity fund? And when I asked Pcso, Mr. Chair, they said that they had legal basis. There is no basis. Maybe they can lump it as part of the operating fund, but definitely not part of the documentary stamp tax under the charity fund. Ngayon, Mr. Chair, ang problema, ginawa nila to before the passage of the train. Ngayon, saan kukunin yung 10%? So technically, all AACs mahihirapan dito. And I would like to ask the Pcso, Mr. Chair, with your anong ginagawa po nila dito? But because there are a lot of problems facing the Pcso, particularly the IRR, the PMRR. Ito po, malinaw po yan. Hindi na po magtatali yan, 110% na kung 20%. So, these are issues that have to be raised in aid of legislation, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
For that matter, and correct me if I'm wrong, even the share of the PNP nanggagaling sa charity fund, hindi sa operation. Is that correct? Ano rin ang justification na kukunin nyo sa charity fund yung share ng PNP? Di ba dapat sa operating expense din yung kukunin? Anyway, kindly respond to Congressman El Rey's questions.
Well, with regards to considering the additional 10% documentary stamp tax, initially we had a discussion during our last board meeting on how to address this dahil totoo yun, pag-usapan namin kung kukunin ho ito or kung kukunin sa charity fund to, masyadong malaki ang mawawala sa charity fund. So there were computations done by our accounting staff here at the Pcso to see kung saan on how to address yung 20% tax. Pero definitely hindi ho sa charity fund ibabawas itong additional.
You know, sabi on record kasi under oath in the congressional hearing, ang sabi po ni AGM Gaboyo noon, nakukunin sa charity fund and may legal basis. And there's really no legal basis. Ang gusto ko lang po i-point out, Mr. Chair, ang charity fund na lang po ngayon is 12.9%. Yung talaga napupunta sa charity. Kung tatanggalan mo pa ng 10% yan, 2.9% na lang matitira. Then, isa pa kasi gusto ko i-point out dito sa ginawa nyo, no? Naglagay kayo ng 4.7% sa operating fund sa Pcso. This should be taken out because hindi naman kayo nag-ooperate eh. Yung AAC, di ba? Saka, and if in aid of legislation, may I also suggest, yung printing cost na 2% dapat i-absorb na yan ng AAC. Why is Pcso getting 1.5 and the AAC another 0.5? So, if you will, kung naghahanap kayo ng figure ng 10%, these are the numbers that you should consider. But Mr. Chair, I would like to point out kasi, while Pcso on record is stating that pinag-aaralan po nila, there is apparent violation of law because how can you comply? For example, for every ticket sold, dapat may 20% na documentary stamp tax. Tapos na po ang January, dapat nag-remit na po kayo for January 1 to 31. So my point, Mr. Chair, is every day that this is not resolved is a violation of law. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned, well, the existing IR, we were not part of the existing IR which is being used now. But we made it a point, as I mentioned, nung lumabas nung na-approve yung train law, we made it a point to include it as the amendments or modification of the IRR in the part of our agenda. And during as I mentioned also, during the last meeting, this was already discussed by the members of the board because we know the importance and of needing to introduce such modifications and controls.
Ms. Camp?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to inform also this August body na aside from the train, during one of our board meeting, when I questioned about the charity fund, kasi may 1.397 billion na dinideduct nila and ang sabi nila AGM Gabuyo is that's for the rentals of the machines. Eh bakit hindi natin ilagay sa operating expenses? So pinagpasapasahan ako nila balutan until finally the legal department said it's a matter of policy. And I asked them, what is your legal basis for that policy? So yung 1.397 billion, sir, na gusto nilang i-deduct sa charity fund at ilagay sa payment for the rental of the machine, ay hindi dapat yun. Hindi po dapat yun. Kasi nung tinanong, ang sinagot sa akin, ang ipinasa ni Balutan kay legal, ang sabi sa akin, it's a matter of their policy. And I asked them, what is your legal basis on that policy? Hindi na nila ako nasagot up to now. Kasi mahirap, sir, yan. Tanggal sila ng tanggal sa charity fund. And charity fund is the baby of the president. Bakit diyan kayo tanggal ng rentals? So I want AGM Gabuyo to answer us why you really have to deduct 1.397 billion for the rental of the machines that we're using, the lotto machines, or etc., at babawas nyo sa charity fund. Under the IRR, nakalagay naman po doon, na at saka sa COA, when I spoke to one of the regional directors of COA, they informed me that charity fund ay hindi dapat bawasan even a single penny. At yan po yata ang rason kung bakit hindi tayo nakakabigay ng maximum help to the poorest of the poor.
May we hear from COA, yung doc stamps for example, dapat ba Pcso yung sumasagot nun o yung AACs, yung licensed operators, yung mga agent corporations? Second, yung share ng PNP and other agencies, no? Yung ba, may authority ba na kunin sa charity fund? O sa charity yung portion ng earnings sa Pcso na dedicated para sa charity? COA, please.
Your Honor, I have to admit I am just new with Pcso. I am just there for about 6 months. So I have not yet looked into these matters, but I will be looking into this in the preparation of our annual audit report for this year.
Pero kung babasin natin sa batas, yung umiiral na batas sa ngayon, no matter how old the law is, specific yung charity fund for charity. So at the outset, even if you're new sa Pcso, di ba, pagkang item mo for charity, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin pambayad ng doc stamps. Hindi mo rin pwedeng gamitin pang bigay ng shares of PNP or any other recipients.
Yes, Your Honor, but we will also look into what are the basis for that, if there are any because just like the other agencies that I had, yung sa PAGCOR, meron sila talaga na parang mandated by law. So I will look into the law that's mandating these all contributions and what is the proper fund that it should be taken from.
Kasi if there's a need to clarify this when we draft the committee report or the substitute bill or what yung i-report sa floor, para ma-incorporate natin para wala ng vagueness in the interpretation. Because sometimes, pag vague lagi yung interpretation, naiiwan sa discretion eh.
Yes.
Because it's vague, you know, hindi klaro. And we'd like to get your input on this para pag dinraft na namin yung final draft ng bill, mas malinaw at saka may control.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, can I add to that? No, the basic problem, Mr. Chair, is yung IRR kasi nag-mention ng mobile hand terminal. But the ongoing practice ngayon, niyayaan ng Pcso is papilitos na malinaw sa IRR that each ticket issued should be a bearer instrument. Based on that, Mr. Chair, that bearer instrument should be the basis for the documentary stamp tax. And dapat, sila po yung magbabayad for every transaction that is the document, there should be a tax. So technically, dapat two things, Mr. Chair. Number one, dapat ibagbawal na talaga yung papelitos. Dapat bearer instrument as mandated by the IRR na na kumbaga may watermark, government printed form, yung each ticket, that should be the basis of the documentary stamp tax. As against now po, under-declared po ang sales. Under-declared rin ang pagbayad po, Mr. Chair. So, marami talagang problema po ang implementation. Although the IRR technically is sound, yung implementation lang po nagkakaproblema. But of course, there's a lot of room for improvement in aid of legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
In the meantime, we'll leave that behind, but will not also prevent us from tackling the same issue. Now we'll go back to the more contentious issue, yung sa STL operations. And I'd like to hear from Mr. Bago here, because this is the first time that he's appearing. Although I received a letter from him, this was originally endorsed or sent to the office of the President, who in turn turned this over or referred the matter to the GM of Pcso last July of 2017. Yes, apparently, no action was taken, and that's the reason why I was given a copy by Mr. Bago. By the way, Mr. Bago is a former police superintendent. Anyway, sabi nyo lang yung background and paano kayo napunta rito?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning po sa lahat. Meron pa ako na-prepare, Your Honor, na sworn statement, affidavit. Pwede po bang basahin
Yes,
ko?
please, but introduce yourself first, ano?
Opo,
Kasi
opo.
hindi rin malinaw kung paano ka napunta rito, tsaka paano mo nalaman yung kalakaran sa tungkol sa STL operations.
Kasama po sa statement ko po. Backgrounder po, I am retired police superintendent Antonio Miguel Bago, a resident of 440 Rosal Poblacion West, Sayan City of Muñoz, Nueva Ecija, of legal age, married to former Maria Lourdes Garland Villarmino of Cagayan de Oro City, with 2 children, Mark Anthony and Carlo Rainier Bago, living quietly with their own respective families. It was on May 18, 1973 when I joined the military service as an enlisted man in the Philippine Marine Corps, Philippine Navy, assigned with the 9 Marine Company, 1st Marine Battalion, stationed in Hulusulu, Mindanao Island. Later, I was commissioned into the regular force of the defunct Philippine Constabulary on April 1, 1975, and I was called to active duty on October 16, 1975. During my military and police service, I held several and various sensitive positions as a rifleman in the Marine Corps, ammo bearer of our Marine Company, platoon leader, provincial investigation officer, provincial intelligence officer, company commander, assistant provincial commander, district director, regional staff officer, task force commander, and special detail or representative to the Department of Agriculture as the chief security officer, providing security to the multipurpose irrigation and power project in Pantabangan, Nueva Ecija. Likewise, Your Honor, I have undergone 28 local regular courses, special trainings, and seminars, all in my military, police, and civilian schooling. I served the government uninterruptedly for 25 years of continued service, to where I was a recipient of 18 military, police, and medals and awards, letter recommendations, and citations from civilian entities and organizations, one among which is the Medalya ng Kadakilaan Award in defense of our democracy in 1989 attempt. It was on March 27, 1998, Your Honor, that I left the police service when I ran for a political position as candidate city mayor of the Sayan City of Muñoz, Nueva Ecija, in support to then Secretary Renato de Villa, running for as President of the Republic of the Philippines under the banner of Reforma Democratic Party, but lost during the national and local elections of May 11, 1998. Paragraph 1, Your Honor, that on January 24, 2018, I attended the Senate hearing on games and amusement presided by the Honorable Senator Pampilo M. Lacson, being the chair of the Committee on Games and Amusement, to deliberate on SBN 1470, creation of the Philippine Charity Office, and SPRN 577, Senate investigation and inquiry into the Pcso STL irregularities, corruptions, anomalies and scandals. For this purpose, Your Honor, the undersigned provided the Senate Committee copy of the manuscript Pcso Reforms and Programs of Actions containing unsolicited proposals, ideas, and suggestions on how to better improve the management and operations of the Pcso. Your Honor, I am just expressing my personal concerns and issues for the said agency. On paragraph 2, Your Honor, during the Senate hearing...
Mr. Bago, gaano kahaba pa yan? Ilang minutes pa sa tansya mo?
Medyo mahaba-haba pa.
Please go direct to the point, ano?
Yes, sir.
Una, anong karapatan mo? Bakit may knowledge ka about this? Yung sinulat mo sa
Yes, sir.
presidente na na-furnishan ako? Bakit ka nagkaroon ng ganong background sa operation?
Your Honor, during that time kasi may mga bagay na sir na na mga nakikita ko sa sa Pcso. Nag-usap kami sir ni nung pag-upo ni General Baluta, nag-usap na kami. Sabi ko ito yung mga bagay-bagay na dapat na mabago sa
No, aside from that, ano yung meron ka bang personal experience tungkol sa operation ng STL?
Oh, yes sir.
Oh.
Meron sir, nabanggit sir ni Honorable Congressman Villafuerte yung sa even chance. That time, Your Honor, I was the provincial manager of even chance gaming corporations in Camarines Sur, March 2010 to February 2011. Your Honor. During that time, when I was the provincial manager, marami na sir mga doon. Tama po si Congressman Villafuerte na ginagamit lang po talaga ng AAC yung permit nila para mag-wetting. Actually po, nung panahon na yon, when I was the provincial manager, dalawa po ang sistema nila dyan eh. Yung pong collection, hinahati po nila yan sa tatlong portion.
At the time, who owned the event chance? Because you were provincial manager. Sino yung may-ari ng event chance?
It was Rodolfo Bong Pineda po, Your Honor.
Siya mismo yung
Siya po yung
licensee?
Siya po.
Pero sino mismo yung in charge aside from you?
Si Kwan po, ang directly upper ko po si Mr. Nestor Napa. Kasi po yung pong area ng Bicol at saka Visayas, siya po ang pinaka-area supervisors.
Mr. Napa is also a front of, sorry for the word, front of Bong Pineda.
Yes po. Siya po ang
Yung
may
sinasabi
hawak.
mong Visayas,
Bicol.
several parts of Bicol, Bong Pineda talagang
Opo,
operator.
siya po.
And you know this as a matter of fact, ano?
Totoo po yan.
With your personal knowledge.
Yes,
Sino
po.
yung, ikaw mismo ang kausap ni Bong Pineda? Nakausap mo ba siya?
Hindi po, ang talaga pong naging kausap ko po diyan si Tatay Ore, yung pong biyanan ni Mr. Angelo Pineda. Kapatid po na bunso ni Bong Pineda. Siya po ang nag-introduce sa akin diyan.
Yeah, sige. Go ahead.
So, nung panahon po na yon, nasabi po sa akin ni Tata Ore, sabi niya, okay ka ba kung hawakan mo yung kamsur, bubuksan ni kanya ni 12, sabi niya ni Bong. Sabi ko, okay po. So, pumunta kami kay Angelo, pinakilala niya ako, tinanggap ako, and then nag-proceed kami ng Camarines Sur. Doon ko na po na-meet si Mr. Nestor Napa. Siya po ang, kumbaga, pinaka-immediate supervisor ko. Ang hinahawakan po ni Mr. Napa during that time is sa area po ng Bicol at saka ng Visayas is Camarines Sur, Sorsogon at saka Leyte Sur. Nagkaroon po ng instance na gustong ilipat sa akin ni Nestor Napa yung Sorsogon at medyo malaki nga, magko-concentrate na lang sa Spikot, pero hindi ko po tinanggap.
Anyway, sige, proceed to the meat of the discussion. Paano yung actual operation ng STL, say, in Camarines Sur and Sorsogon, kung alam mo? Camarines Sur
Pero
first.
hindi po,
kasi ikaw mismo
wala
na.
pong pagbabago.
Kaya nga, paano ang operation noon? Paano nadadaya ang Pcso? Paano nadadaya
Okay
ang
po.
gobyerno?
Okay po, sandali lang po.
Mr. Chair, habang nag-aantay, can I just ask one question?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, you mentioned before that Bong Pineda was operating in Sorsogon. Is that correct?
Yes po.
And we have reports also that currently, that in Sorsogon, it's still Bong Pineda. So just for the reference, Mr. Chair, of the Pcso, that is against the IRR, that's against the law, using dummies. And there are already strong intelligence reports validated that even in Sorsogon and other parts of the country, it's still Bong Pinedo operating. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Would you confirm kasi last time, di ba, yung Camarines Sur, sinabi ni Congressman Villaperte, kinonfirm din o binalidate din noong Provincial Director ng Camarines Sur, 5 million a day, hindi ba?
Opo, opo.
At the time, 2010, magkano yung gross diyan sa Camarines Sur?
Ang Camarines Sur, during my term, Your Honor, it was 5 million po. Excluding ang Naga.
How much sa Naga?
Sa Naga po, as far as I remember, is 1.8 million.
Ngayon ba, is Naga included in the Camarines Sur area for purposes of management or AAC? Hiwalay.
Mr. Chair, she is lying because the agreement as per certification from Pcso that Even Chance was granted the franchise for province of Camarines Sur and Naga City. Mr. Chair, I just like, hindi ko po maintindihan kung bakit mismo yung AGM hindi niya alam. Hindi ko
Alam mo
maintindihan
ba
po.
o you're just lying? Included pala. So ang total ng Camarines Sur ngayon, including Naga, would be 6.8 million a day. And ang nire-remit sa inyo, 61 million a month, di ba? Yan sa PMRR? Ha? So magkano daily? 2 million? Not even. Magkano daily? On a daily basis? Kung sa daily natin i-compute. Magkano ang remittance or as per PMRR, magkano na-generate, ano yung gross receipts sa Camarines Sur including Naga City?
Sir, sadali lang po.
Sige, in the meantime, Mr. Bago, continue.
Ganito po yung yung racket ng Even Chance sa Camarines Sur and also in all other provinces, no? Nueva Ecija, Bulacan.
Yes, ito yung mga provinces na sinasabi mo under
Opo,
din sa
opo.
operation ni Mr. Bong Pineda.
Opo, Nueva
So,
Ecija.
ano yan?
Yes, Your Honor. During my term at the time,
Yes.
2010, Nueva Ecija Province, Bulacan Province, Pampanga Province, Angeles City, Bataan Province, Zambales Province, Olongapo City, Santiago City, Camarines Sur Province, Sorsogon Province, and Leyte Sur Province. So,
And you know this as a
Opo,
fact, as a matter of fact.
because I am part of the conferences pagka nagmi-meeting ho kami sa bahay ni Mr. Angelo Pineda sa
Si Ure.
Opo.
Nasaan na si Mang Ure ngayon?
Patay na po yung matanda. Yeah.
Siya yung biyanan ng bunsong kapatid ni Bong Pineda.
Opo.
Sige, continue.
So, ganito po 'yon. Sa
I
isang
wish, teka muna, I wish Pcso would listen to this narration. Kasi kung ganyan yung 2010, malamang yan din ang operation ni Bong Pineda. Di ba? Nueva Ecija, Bulacan, of course Pampanga. No-brainer yan. So how could that happen? Kung gusto natin talagang magbigay ng honest to goodness or equal chance sa iba to be granted licenses to operate, eh kung isang tao lang, kontrolado kayo ng isang tao instead of the other way around. Sige, proceed.
Doon po sa ingreso ng STL, ganito po ang ginagawa na. Tatlo po 'yan. Tatlong hati-hati po 'yan. Ang inire-remit lang po talaga ng AAC. Pero lahat po 'yan, may mga ID, kompleto po 'yan, may mga uniform. Yung isang lang po, isang istasyon lang. There are 3 stations po. Doon sa maliliit na bayan, pero doon sa malalaki may 5 hanggang 6 stations. Pero dalawa lang po, meaning sabihin na natin 1/3 lang po ang nire-report nila sa Pcso. The rest of the 2/3 hindi po nila inire-remit yun. Ganito pa po ang isa. Ito po, sample ito ng ticket ng papelitos ng Bong Pineda Corporations. Ito po,
Papilitos yan ng huweteng o papilitos ng
waiting
STL?
po,
Huweteng.
STL at saka waiting na rin po. Parehas.
Paano man ba distinguish yung alin dyan yung STL, alin yung huweteng?
Ay, paliliwanag ko po.
Sige.
Ito yan. Ito po, Pagka ang tayaan nyo po ay 100 pesos, hatiin po yan. 20 or 80 pesos, 50 or 50 pesos, 30 or 70 pesos. Okay. Sa 80 or 20 pesos, ano, isang ano po to, 5 pesos and 20 pesos. Okay. Another is 5 pesos and 20 pesos. Another is 5 pesos and 20 pesos. And ito po, itong apat na to, pag may tama po, pag may tama, yun ang waiting. Ayun, yun po ang ano, yun ang STL. Pag may tama, babayaran po lahat yan. Lahat po yan submitted. Pero, pag wala po tama, isa lang po ang ibibigay sa Pcso. Yung kanila, yun ang waiting. Yan na. Yan po ang
So,
sistema.
Hindi 30%, 20% ang ibibigay sa Pcso.
Mati po siguro, maybe po.
Kung walang tama.
Kung walang tama po,
Kasi pag may tama,
wala po. Pagka walang tama, kukunin ng waiting.
okay.
So, pagka may tama, ibibigay po sa Pcso.
Okay. Paano
bayaran.
nagbobola?
Ang pagbobola naman po, yun na nga po ang problema dito. Kasi, kung minsan, I overheard, ilipat ninyo yung bulahan, draw court. Sabi, nangyari po to sa Camarines Sur. Sabi ko, Nestor, sabi ko, pati lilipat yan. Sabi ko, ay samantalang nandito yung court, paano yung mga sabi ganyan. Ngumiti lang siya, pagkatapos nilipat. Ganito po ang ginagawa nila dyan. Itinatago po nila yung bulahan. Tapos itinitext na lang po nila kung ano yung gusto nilang palabasin. Depende doon sa report, sa baba, sa ground, kung ano yung malaki at kung ano yung maliit.
So, computerized.
Computerized po yun. So,
Alam nila ngayon yung trend ng taya,
Opo.
kung ano yung numerong o kombinasyon ng maraming taya,
Opo.
hindi nila patatamahin.
Hindi nila patatamahin yun.
So, niloloko nila yung mga tao.
Naloloko po talaga.
Sir, can I
Ang,
add
would you like
something,
to-
Mr. Chair?
Sandali.
Sige po.
Mr. Ang, would you like to...
Your Honor, baka makadagdag din to sa ano. Unang-una, pinag-uusapan natin 11 provinces kung kay Bong Pineda. I think mas maganda patawag natin si Bong Pineda rito. Kung itatanggi niya kung siya may-ari. Isa suggestion lang po yun. Second, yung pareho nga na sinasabi ko na itong mga nag-ooperate ng wedding, tsaka itong mga nag-STL, magkukumpare kami, magkakaibigan kami. Ang totoong nangyayari dyan, etong lahat ng binabayaran nila to, hindi to actual sales. Kasi binigyan na nga ng quota to dati eh. No? From 7.5% ngayon, ginawa ng 15 to 20%. So, yung kung ano man ang dinideclare ng Pcso ngayon, hindi totoong sales yan. Lahat ng operation nila ngayon, waiting yon. Babalik ko ulit, sabi ko na walang waiting eh. Waiting, lahat ng actual operation, waiting yon. Kung ano yung naandito na dinideclare kila Gabuyo, yan yung ginagawa nila ng accountant nila, walang kinalaman sa operation yun. Kaya sinashortcut ko na lang sinasabi nyo eh. So, walang kinalaman ng actual operation. Kung ano lang dinikta ng mga, kung sino yung GM kung sino yung corrupt dyan, o eto ka, etong quota mo, tapos basta bigyan mo ako yung sobra. Ganun po ang nangyayari. So, walang kinalaman sa operation, Your Honor.
Mr. Bago, kung meron dayaan, natural, may corruption na kasama. Kasi alangan namang papayagan ng Pcso, papayagan ng kung sino mang nasa gobyerno na halos hayagan, harap-harapan na may dayaan nang wala namang silang papakinabang.
Totoo po yun, totoo po yun.
So,
Totoo po.
sige, mag-segue kayo. Ano ngayon ang kalakaran? Ano ba yung lagayan? At alam nyo ba ito, yung lagayan?
Noong panahon po na nandun
Yung
ako,
panahon nyo.
yung panahon ko lang po, pwede po, sa Camarines Sur, sa Kamsur, okay. Ang lagayan po dito, individual na kakausapin po yung tao. Halimbawa, mayor, police, ganyan, sila po yung pupuntahan. Kahit na po madaling araw, kahit na po sa puno ng mangga, mag-uusap po yan, mag-aabutan na po doon. Ganun po. So, sasabihin, magkano akin? Okay, porsyento po yun. So, yung porsyento na para sa kanila, kinukuha na po yun. Meaning, kung halimbawa po sa police, may 1% sila. Sample lang po. Sa 100,000.
Una, yung sinasabi mong 1%, labas ito do sa yung deklarado na share ng pulis.
Labas po yun, labas po yun. Iba po yun.
Okay. Pcso, sinong kinakausap?
Ang kinakausap po, nung panahon namin po, si Director Quiñones. Na-meet ko na po yan. Minsan, pumunta po yan sa Camarines Sur.
Okay, sige. Pag pirma ng lisensya, magkano? Tapos yung regular, yung monthly, magkano?
Wala po akong alam sa prangkisa kung magkano ang binibigay sa prangkisa.
Hindi ka nagkausap ni Angelo o ni Nestor tungkol dyan? Sino bang umaharap?
Wala po, wala po.
So, ang kausap daw si Bong Pineda.
Ibang Pineda lang po.
So, ikaw ang provincial manager, wala ka man lang kaalam-alam kung magkano yung, siyempre, expense yan eh. Labas ka doon?
Labas po ako doon dahil hindi ko po alam kung magkano inaabot ni Ibang Pineda sa Pcso.
O, sige, tuloy mo yung salaysay.
Maliban na lang po yung mga pagbisita ng mga board of directors. Yun, pwede ko po sabihin yun. Minsan po, ang akala ko, nagpabili ng yung sesto. Ano yung sesto box? Akala ko po, magmimerienda kami. Sabi, may bisita, bumili ka ng isang sesto. Yung pong sesto box, di kinuha, merienda. Pinatawag po yung kahero namin. Yung palang sesto, front lang yun. Yung palang box, yun ang lalagyan ng pera. Kaya nung dumating po si Director Quiñones, gano'n na nga po.
Regular ba yung pagbisita o random?
Regular po yun. Weekly, monthly po.
Monthly.
Kung minsan, twice a month pa.
Magbibisita yung board. Ilang members ng board ang nagbibisita?
Ang nakapanan ko lang po nun si Director Quiñones.
Magkano laman ng sesto
500,000 po.
sa isang buwan?
Hindi ko po alam kung sa isang buwan yun dahil minsan sa Hoka po,
Di ba cheap yun?
ah,
Di ba cheap masyado?
baka po para sa kanya lang yun. Hindi ko po alam.
Anyway, sige, tuloy mo lang yung salaysay mo. Para maliwanagan mabuti, nandito yung, ito mga bago ito mga members ng board.
Opo.
When you were there, they were not yet there, hindi ba?
Opo,
Wala pa
opo.
sila sa
Wala pa,
Pcso. Mas maganda yung bigyan mo sila ng background so they would know how to address or how to confront or how to solve that problem.
Okay.
Sige.
So, meron po akong mga bagay-bagay na gusto sanang ipalad sa Pcso. Tulad po yung tungkol sa tungkol doon sa nabanggit po ni ni Honorable Congressman Villafuerte, yung tungkol po sa paggamit ng mobile handheld terminal. Well, pwede po sanang magamit yun, pero ang problema po doon kasi yung sales supervisors po natin sa mga sales representatives all over the nation 1.2 to 1.5 million individuals. Computed na po yan. So magkakaroon po talaga ng problema dyan. Pangalawa po, kasi po yung bibigay natin yan sa mga kubrador, siyempre tangay-tangay po nila yan eh. Tangay-tangay nila yan. Masisira lang po. Masisira lang po yun. Ngayon, yung ticket po okay lang yun. Ang suggestion ko po sa Pcso, na pinag-usapan din namin noon ni General Balutan, sabi ko, why not yun na lang yung post o tinatawag na yun pong permanent na naka-stationary na na machine, sabi ko. Yung ginamit namin kaakot sa Bingo Milyonaryo sa Romblon, sabi ko. Yun, lahat ng mga koleksyon pumapasok doon. Tapos may mga ticket, yung mga ticket na lang ibigay natin sa mga kubrador. Tapos yun na lang ang total po yung kinukuha lahat. Recorded po yun. Okay. So pangalawa po na pwedeng yung pong sa sinasabi ko nga po, yung sa pag-collecta po ng unpaid at saka unremitted na Pcso revenues, lalo na po yung sa PMMR. Basahin po ninyo yung yung IRR ng 2016. There is no such or any provisions regarding to prejudicial or without prejudicial doon sa mga AACs para habulin natin sila kung paano natin makukolekta yan. Wala pong nakalagay doon eh. Wala pong nakalagay na paraan o procedure o safety nets o measures paano.
Would you like to respond to that observation? Na wala namang provision kung paano nyo hahabulin yung mga AACs. But first, yung kanina, yung naiwan nating tanong, magkano yung
Average.
Yeah,
Average po ng
Daily.
1.298 million
Daily.
po.
And that's Camarines Sur including Naga City.
City.
1.
Mr. Chair,
298
Mr. Chair, can I say
1
something?
point, ano?
0.298 million po.
1.298.
Opo.
Mr. Chair, kasi that's misleading eh. Mr. Chair, yung basis niya na yan is based on yung latest remittance siguro as of November, December, can you say?
December po.
Kasi Mr. Chair, I computed po, when they started operating from March as of November, ang na-remit pa lang nila sa Pcso is 139,796,046 or a shortfall of over 1 billion pesos for a period of only 8 to 9 months, Mr. Chair. So yung sinasabi niyang basis na 1 million per day, yun siguro yung latest remittance because when the congressional hearing started in Congress, tumaas na yung remittance niya. But kung ibabasahin mo, when they started operating March, 150,000 lang yata na-remit, Mr. Chair. Eh. So what I'm saying is, in addition to the IRR, finorfit nila yung ban, tinerminate, finorfit. But ang tanong ko po, Mr. Chair, is, paano naman yung shortfall? Na, 1 year sila nag-shortfall every month. Sisingilin ba nyo sa kanila yan?
Yes,
Kasi as per the IR, kailangan singilin yan.
Apo.
And going back, Mr. Chair, dapat hindi na nga pinapatagal ng more than 2-3 months kung nagbabiolate na sila ng PMRR kasi lalong nade-defraud po yung gobyerno, Mr. Chair. So dapat linawin po sa IRR, although malinaw naman, hindi lang ini-implement, aside from termination for failure to remit the PMRR for feature of ban, and third, yung shortfall should be paid. Because there's a contract. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Maybe.
Sir, actually po yung tanong po kasi kanina yung average sales po. Average sales po. Yung naging basis po namin yung last December po.
Okay, paki-clarify kasi kung if you will do the average sales from March until December,
When
it's
you
less than
say
1 million.
average sale, December tapos
Yung month po
backward,
ng December lang po,
hindi
sir.
average yun.
Apo.
Go back probably
Yun po yung-
hanggang June. June
Apo.
to December, anong average daily?
Sir, pa-compute ko lang po, sir.
Hindi average yung 1.298
Sir, actually
dahil
po, sir, yung
lang
December, yun po yung average niya ng per day for the month
on
of
a daily,
po. Opo, sir. Kasi yung kanina
for
yung
that
tanong
one
po,
month.
yung per day
For
po.
that- yeah,
Opo.
sorry. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from you with all these issues, all these problems.
Sir, the problem really here is accountability. I noticed, tubig muna. I noticed, sir, that there's no accountable retail receipts. And always, the police will be always in the hot water because they have no receipt, bet receipt that is authorized by Pcso that will hold water in court. So the board now decided and is still on progress to design an accountable official retail receipts so that when the police will apprehend an erring better or cabo using an official receipt, it will be automatically be a prima facie evidence that will hold water in court. And in our discussion that accountable official retail receipts
will be issued by Pcso. So from there, we can now account and audit an AEC of the real income for the month or for the day. Kasi ngayon, sir, ang makikita mo, yung AEC, siya lang yung magdi-decide kung ano yung income niya. So what the PCSO cannot audit him kasi siya yung gumagawa ng resibo. So ngayon, sabi nga sa aming discussion, ang failure talaga dito is control. So, paano natin malaman na totoo talaga itong mga PMRR na sinasabi nila?
Yung paggamit
So, yun,
ng
sir, yun ngayon
unauthorized,
ang aming...
Chairman, yung paggamit ng unauthorized receipts, yung mga papelitos,
Yes, sir.
should that be a ground for outright termination of contract because that's defrauding the government or defrauding the Pcso? Di ba dapat ground kagad yun? Pag nahulihan yung kobrador nila, yung collector nila, ng hindi authorized na papelitos from Pcso, di ba dapat automatic yun? Wala na maraming usapan?
I think
Well,
you're right, it's part of the...
Hindi kasama yung criminal charges that could be filed later on. But sa side lang ng Pcso, pag may report yung PNP sa inyo na may nahulihan yung particular operator whose cobradores are using unauthorized receipts, di ba dapat termination kagad yun? Of course, there's due process
Due
involved, but
process,
that should
yes,
be a ground for termination, di ba?
So,
Are you doing that now?
Yes, sir.
Hindi, wala.
Actually, sir, we are amending our IRR. And one of the action taken there is to have an accountable official retail receipts.
Yes, actually, dahil, Your Honors, yung wala pang reviewing yung IRR, we noticed that there are some loose provisions because AACs were also allowed to print their own receipts. So it's either the PCSO would provide the receipts or the AAC can provide. That's why napag-usapan ho namin during our last meeting that this should be discontinued. That's why we want to amend the implementing rules. That only the PCSO should be the one to provide the receipts to all AACs.
But it should be charged to the AACs, di ba?
Yes.
Dapat kasama yung sa remittance nila, yung forms na pinuduce ng PCSO, pinrint ng PCSO, and distributed to them para wala silang magawa na sila mismo nagpiprint. Kasi otherwise, pipik lang nila yung piniprint nila.
Yes.
Kasi sila nakakakilala. And should be uniform all over. Ngayon ba hindi uniform? Kanya-kanyang form.
Actually, sir, we provided them yung STL prescribed form po and then they were allowed to print. But now po, meron na po kaming na-approve na po ng board na it's the PCSO who will print now the accountable forms.
Charge to them. Okay.
And then secondly, tama ho yung sinabi ni Congressman El Rey, meron mga ibang AACs na naiipunan because of yung non-remittance or short remittance nung kanilang PMRR. That's why, in fact, we have already lined up a couple of AACs to be terminated. Iniisa-isa na ho namin, hindi lang namin mapagsabay-sabay dahil pagka pinagsabay-sabay namin, ito wala pang guidelines, which was also suggested, we said, when this presentation suggested, that because of this incident, to review all the performance of the AACs, and lahat ng may mga malalaking, may mga shortfall or non-remittance, papadala na namin ng notice of termination. But of course, we also have to provide a guideline on how to come up with replacements of these operators na ite-terminate ho natin.
Chairman?
Sir, we have prepared a PowerPoint presentation of our actions taken, of your guidance.
Please, we'd like to see that.
Our legal officer, Atty. Chong, will brief.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
point of clarification. May Congressman Espino and myself be allowed to interpolate also?
Of course,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
your colleague here has been interpolating since the last hearing, so I see
But-
no reason why the two of you won't be able to interpolate also.
Mr. Chair, I saw it on TV that you asked the permission of the members of the committee for our colleague here to interpolate
It
the
still
resource
stands,
person.
Your
So,
Honor, because this is just a resumption of that hearing, so it's already covered.
thank you for the privilege, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Today we will present the issues raised and actions taken by the PCSO board on the issues during the meeting of January 24, 2018. First slide, please. Oh. Yes. Ay. The third. Yes. Next slide, please. First, we have a brief introduction. Issues raised. Number 3, the actions taken and the challenges of PCSO. Can kindly go back to the first slide? Yes. The Committee on Games and Amusement joined with the Committees of Government Corporations and Public Enterprises and Ways and Means had a joint public hearing on January 24, 2018. Several issues were raised in the operations of STL, one of the regular games of PCSO. The first issue is the evaluation of operations of STL AACs. In the recent meeting of the board, the members of the Board of Directors approved the forfeiture of cash bond of 5 AACs in operation that failed to attain their proposed presumptive monthly retail receipts. We beg your indulgence. We cannot divulge the names of the AACs yet because they have not been informed, because the approval, the resolution is yet to be signed by the board. Second, alleged violations of Even Chance Gaming Corporation. The board has also approved the termination of authority to operate STL in Camarines Sur of Even Chance Gaming Corporation and the forfeiture of its cash bond to answer for the shares due to PCSO. In relation to this, PCSO issued a notice to explain, directing Even Chance to comment on why its authority to operate STL in the province of Camarines Sur should not be revoked. PCSO also requested the comments of our branch office to verify the allegations against Even Chance. And we also requested the Police Regional Director of Legazpi, Police Regional Director Antonio Garjola, to conduct a surveillance and independent investigation on the alleged illegal gambling activities in Camarines Sur and effect arrest in case of violations of any. In the letter received by PCSO from PRD Garjola, we were furnished a copy of the results of the investigation. They recommended the cancellation of Even Chance's authority as it has committed the following violations as alleged by Congressman Villaverde. Finally, based on the deliberation of the SMG, Even Chance failed to comply with the required PMRR of 61,857 pesos a month. The sales performance report of branch operations sector reveals that the actual sales of Even Chance is only 178 million plus. Therefore, a shortfall of 398 million plus. Next issue of the failure to monitor sales of SCL ADCs. The PCSO board approved the use of official STL tickets and receipts to be printed and issued exclusively by the Pcso. Next is a lack of coordination with the LGUs. In the recent board meeting, the board approved the requirement to secure a certificate of no objection to operate STL in the area applied for, issued by the governor in the province or mayor in case of chartered city. This is to address the issue of lack of coordination with LGUs. So again, the PCSO approved the requirement to secure a certificate of no objection to operate STL in the area applied for, issued by the governor in case of the province and mayor in case of the chartered cities. And as mentioned a while ago, there are several challenges that PCSO is now confronted with, one of which is the effect of Train Law or Republic Act 10963. In the Train Law, PCSO's documentary stamp tax is increased from 10% to 20%. Thus, will have a significant decrease will have an effect of decreasing the PCSO charity fund and prize fund. We therefore recommend and we respectfully request the chairman of the committee to consider in the Senate Bill 1470 creating the Philippine Charity Lottery Office the retention of the 10% documentary stamp tax for PCSO and the retention of PCSO's previous exemption from corporate income tax. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Members of the board, how much cash fund was forfeited from Event Chance? 15 million or
61 po.
61?
61.
So, kung 398 yung shortfall, paano nyo habulin ngayon yung more than 300 million?
Sir, yung sales shortfall po, sir, ang basis po namin nung pag-forfeit ng cash bond, yung amount to be remitted to the PCSO. So, I still don't have the computation
From the
right
briefing, 398 million ang shortfall eh. Hindi ba, attorney? Sabi nyo kanina, if I heard you correctly, 398 million yung shortfall do sa share. Share dapat ng Pcso from Event Chance. And yet, you forfeited a bond of 61 or 64 million.
Sir, as per our computation, the amount to be remitted to PCSO would be 156.72 million.
Sabi niyo, ano yung 398 na binanggit nyo kanina na shortfall? Gross shortfall.
Opo. Sales shortfall po. Sales shortfall.
Sales shortfall, pero yung actual na dapat i-remit sa Pcso would be
156.72 million.
And how much cash bond was forfeited?
61 po.
O, anong nangyari doon sa differential?
Sir, we will collect po.
How will you collect kung terminate nyo na? Wala kayong bond eh. Punta kayo sa korte.
Yes, sir. Yung legal po namin, sir, ang magde-demand ng collection, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Has there been an instance in the past na nakakolekta kayo doon sa terminated AAC ng shortfall? Wala.
Wala po, sir.
Mr.
So,
Chair.
anong cure? From any member of the board, anong cure, anong remedy para hindi malugi yung Pcso? Kasi kung maliit yung band, vis-a-vis the shortfall, paano yung habulin nyo kung terminated na nga?
It should be, sir, automatic termination po once na hindi po nare-realize kaagad yung ano.
Hindi nga eh, terminated na nga after your board meeting last January 31, you approved in the board the termination of yung AAC, di ba, yung Event Chance. Pero pinorfeit nyo yung band, sabi nyo, 100 plus? 61 million.
Mr. Chair, can I add? Kasi yung band ng Event Chance, nagsisinungaling na naman po sila eh. Ang band po ng Event Chance, as per the records you gave us, is only 57 million, not 61. It's 57,626,225 as per OR number 213561. So, Mr. Chair, yung gusto ko lang po i-point out kasi, yung dinadrive nyo po, kung sinunod lang sana ng PCSO yung IRR na pag hindi na-meet po yung PMRR, ipo-forfeit yung bond, then i-replenish po. Ang ginawa nila, kung hindi pa kami nag-complain, hindi na i-determinate, hindi na forfeit, ngayon, hindi pa na-replenish. And there are almost more than 90 AACs right now who are not complying with the PMRR. So two things, either you forfeit that or ask them to replenish. If you just followed IRR, and hindi na-insure ang gobyerno. Saka Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang pong tanungin kasi yung dati kong tanong, na may formula po sila na population times 30% times 250 times 3 draws. Kung sinunod po nila yon, ang PMRR ng Camarines Sur is 130 million plus. Ang tanong ko po Mr. Chair, bakit nila binaba on their own, arbitrarily, with no legal basis, na sa 61 po? Pwede bang masagot po yun, Mr. Chair? Thank you.
Sir, ang nangyari po kasi sir, yung formula po ng Pcso, doon po yung sa mga 18-old AACs. Ito pong mga bago na na-approve po, kung ano po yung proposed PMRR po nila, yun po yung sinunod po ng Pcso, not the Pcso PMRR po.
So balikan ko lang po, Mr. Chair, apparently talagang magkakaroon ng masyadong mataas ang leeway ng board. Kasi doon sa Camarines Sur, as mentioned earlier po, 6 nagbid. Meron doon nagbid STEM Gaming, 350 million. Ang nila, PMRR. Ang sabi ni General Balutan, lang naman yan, imposible naman yan. Pero, Mr. Chair, kung in-award nila sa PMRR yan at hindi nakamit, may 350 million ng gobyerno. Automatic. Then, ipabid nila ulit sa iba hanggang tumama yung numero. Pero ang nangyari po, nagpabor po sila sa even chance like others. Tapos unilaterally, kung ano yung sinabing, ang even chance po ang pinakamababang PMR, sila ang nanalo. And I feel this is happening all over the country to the detriment of injury to the government, Mr. Chair. So my point, hindi lang po even chance in Camarines, all over the country, this is happening po.
Related question, how many months ba bago nyo terminate? Yung 1 month shortfall, would that suffice to terminate and forfeit the ban?
As per IRR po.
1 month?
Opo.
Ba't tumagal ng ganun kala? Ba't umabot ng 309, yan?
Sir, I'm regularly submitting a report to the board, previously headed by Chairman Corpus. But sir, hindi po naging ganun po yung decision po nila to terminate immediately.
Mr. Chair, apparently hindi lang po yung board ang may negligence, mismo sa branch, kasi sa IRR, nakasabi po, within 5 days that they have not met the PMRR, they should have reported within 5 days, not 1 month, not 10 months, not 1 year. So, yung negligence, Mr. Chair, starting from the ground up, parang nagbulag-bulagan, nagbingi-bingihan, even up to this date, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang po i-point out, kasi I have the opportunity, na kinancel nila, tinerminate ng board ang even chance sa Camarines Sur. And yet, nung ni-raid na po ng PNP, Mr. Chair, yung operation, ngayon, ang kinakasuhan pa, pinapa-explain, yung pulis. Samantalang sinabi po ng Pcso before, wala kami enforcement power. Nung in-enforce na po nila yung termination, yung branch manager mismo ng Pcso nag-certify, Mr. Chair, I will put it on record, na hindi pa pwedeng pahintuin yan kasi wala pang advice raw sa kanila. Ito po, Mr. Chair, if you allow me to read, ito ang ginamit ng even chance, signed by Jobet Ramos, OIC branch manager. This is to certify that Pcso Camarines Sur branch has not received any directive from the main office as of this date, February 7, 8, regarding the termination or cancellation of authority granted the Even Chance Gaming Corporation to operate small town lottery in province of Camarines Sur. Ito po yung pinakita nila. Nag-lawyer pa po ang Pcso in favor of even chance. At papakita ko rin po mamaya na despite the order of the board, tuloy-tuloy ang operation ng even chance. At Mr. Chair, meron 2 empleyado pa ng Pcso na huli namin nasa loob ng even chance noong February 8. Despite the fact na January 31 na 31 tinerminate nyo, nandun pa ang Pcso mismo. Nag-i-illegal nag-wetting. Mr. Chair, I have it on record, I have pictures to show you, na mismo Pcso, 2 empleyado ng Pcso, ito po, nandun mismo po, ito po, Mr. Chair, dito yung picture nila, illegal na yung operation, pinoprotektahan pa nyo, tapos bago pasukin ng pulis, oy, hindi kayo pwedeng pumasok dito, legal pa to.
gusto ko lang po i-point out, despite the fact na tinerminate na, illegal naman yan from the start eh. Kasi yun na nga, papilitos, ganyan. So Mr. Chair, kawawa po ang pulis, nandito po ang PD namin. Pinapa-explain po ng higher ups ng PNP na ginawa lang po niya ang trabaho. So, kasama ko po dito si Congressman Acop, si Congressman Espino, yan ang issue sa Congress no, na kawawa ang pulis. Pag hindi nag-aksyon, kakasuhan. Pag nag-aksyon, kakasuhan. So ito yung mga bagay po in aid of legislation po na possibly na ayusin po natin. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Meantime, the Chair acknowledges the presence also of Mr. Julian Olivares, of Ram Lloyd Corporation, Laguna, STL Operator, Anastasio Inoncillo, Bulacan. Andiyan po kayo. And then Mr. Jexter Mercado, Negros Occidental. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Board.
Yeah. Sir, with in reply to the statement of Congressman Villaferte, I think kaya lang andun yung because as I mentioned earlier, there's 5 days na for them to file a motion for reconsideration because the implementing rules is silent kung immediately executory yung notice of termination ng board, but because of we have to provide due process. I think that's the rationale of the framers of the IRR to provide due process. So hindi pa ho naglalapse yung 5 days. That's why they were still operating. But if you also notice, kagaya ho ng sinabi ko, tama naman yung sinabi ni Kong, ngayon ho hindi na namin pinapatagal pag may lapse. In fact, during the last board meeting, ngayon yung pinakamataming termination ng decision to terminate AAC based dun sa non-compliance with the PMRR. In fact, yung 5, una lang yan eh. Madami pa kaming during the next board meeting, we already discussed yung mga dapat na isunod pang padalan ho ng notice of termination.
Okay, if I may add, Mr. Chair, hindi naman po ako abogado. You mentioned that silence sa batas, but alam nyo na nag-violate, alam nyo na nag-illegal. You can have an execution pending appeal, and based on jurisprudence, if there's compelling circumstances present, you can already halt, terminate, pending appeal. Then kung if at a later stage you think that your action is wrong, then let him continue. But there is already compelling superior circumstance such as continued injury to the government coffers, continued failure to protect public interest, permission of existing violation, potential continued violation of laws and other penal provisions. So since you already mentioned it was silent, you are in a position to act.
Yes, Mr. Your Honor. As I mentioned, I'm not justifying the actions of whoever issued the order. As far as the board is concerned, during the board meeting, we passed a resolution for the cancellation, for the termination. Ang sinasabi ko lang, kaya siguro hindi andun yung dalawang empleyado ng Pcso because yung mandatory 5 days na alam nila.
In other words, hindi pa final yung termination.
Opo, because of yung
because of
5 days provided by Article 28 of the IRR.
Anyway, Mr. Ang, you were quoted as hurling a challenge sa Pcso that you can produce the 200 million daily income, di ba? Yung gross.
Yes, Your Honor.
How would you do that?
Well, I think ito may paliwanag ko na rin itong ano po. Yung para makatulong din sa mga pinag-uusapan niya po as gaming consultant or as tawag na sa akin, no? Ito ang Pcso. Ang Pcso, kaya tayo walang problema doon sa loto kasi actual sales yun. Minus prices, minus mga charity. So actual sales, remaining 55% divided by how many tickets. So wala tayong problema. Ngayon, ito nga po ang istorya na itong yung sweepstake, okay tayo, successful yan. Kaya walang corruption nga, parang sinabi ko dati. Ngayon, dito po sa STL na to, gusto ko maintindihan nyo ng lahat. Ito, intindihin nyo maigi to. Walang katapusan itong pinag-uusapan yung problema to. Kasi dinesign talaga itong STL as failure. Okay, papaliwanag ko kung bakit po. Nilabas po yan noong panahon ni Uriarte, dinesign niya nila Bong Pineda. Noong panahon nila Uriarte, kung titignan nyo yung sales, buong panahon ni Madam GMA, wala pa yatang 600 million ang gross. Tsaka ito pa po pala, lagi pong sinasabi ng Pcso, palibasa sabi niya, pinoproteksyon na nung una pa, Laging binabanggit nyo, gross kayo ng gross. Bakit hindi nyo ipaliwanag sa tao kung magkano lang ang charity? Kapareho hanggang 2014, Your Honor, ang sales ng STL is 4.7 billion. Ang sila na lahat na nag-iimbento niyan. Ang 7% lang kinukuha is 320 million lang net. Yung net na yun lang napupunta sa charity. So, yung sinasabi nila 4.7, payout yun eh. Kapareho ngayon, sinasabi na naman po nila balutan na umakit na ron na how many billions. Eh, totoong sales niyan, katulad niyan. Kasi sila nagdidikta ng sales eh. Hindi actual talaga to. Kapareho, inuulit mo ako. Hindi na maikokorekto dahil nagsimula to sa dinikta. So, yung dinikta nila actual sales na okay. Simula 1900, 1998, o 1990, lahat ng sales niyan, maski tanungin nyo lahat ng government lord, hindi nagbabago yan. Yung mga experience, gusto nyo malaman na actual sales ng bawat probinsya, wala kayong tatanungin kung hindi governor, mayor, kasi tinutulungan nila mga tao nila eh. Yung mga pulis dyan, napalit naman ng palit. Yung mayor lang, governor, congressman, may idea na sila kasi may mga tauhan sila na matatanong nila. So, kung uobserbahan nyo, bawat probinsya, simula 1990 hanggang ngayon, dapat mas mataas lang yan, more or less mga 10% lang. Ngayon, ang sales niyan pare-pareho. So yung ginagawa nila na simula nung nilabas yung STL niya para gawing front, naging president na, simula nung panahon ni Uriarte, naging corrupt na sobra ang Pcso. Ang magandang yung kinokorrect na ni presidente ngayon eh. Kaya lang walang way na ma-correct dahil mali ang formula. Hindi makikita ang actual hanggat gambling lord ang nag-ooperate. Impossible. Kapareho nga, ang actual says, alam naman nila Lisa Gabuyo yan eh, kayo makakasabot dati dyan eh. Kayo yan nila Quinones. Sila yan. Kaya so, paikutin man natin ang paikutin yan, Lisa. Kasi pag ikinorekto, marami madadami dyan, makikita nyo. Maski anong gawin natin, uulitin ko, dinisign yan as failure ng panahon ni Uriarte. Kaya nagkagulo yan. Tapos nung pumasok si Pinoy naman, si Presidente Pinoy, 3 years pa lang sinabi na ni Presidente Pinoy na i-cancel yan po ginagamit sa kalokohan. Ano sabi nila Ochoa? Hindi po pwede, maraming mawawalan ng trabaho. Nakita ko sa niya, sa affidavit mo to eh. Paligo, may alam ka rin. So, hindi na na-correct. Inalagay sana si Governor Maliksi. Ilalagay ni Presidente, ang sinabi, hindi pwede may kaso ka pa. Yun ang sinabi nila na mga malalakas kay Presidente. Pinatapos agad. Ngayon, ang nakinabang buong panahon ni Presidente Pinoy, si Joy Rojas, siya nakipag-deal lahat sa mga kalokohan niyan. Kasabot yung mga existing ngayon. So, ang sinasabi ko lang, hindi na makukorekto maski pag-usapan nyo na pag-usapan. Dahil hindi naman totoo yung sales eh. Hanggat may gambling lord, hindi na matatapos ng problema to. Bakit walang problema ang loto? Dahil actual sales. Eh, eto, kinukutahan nyo. Para lang sumikat si Balutan, doblehin yan. So, obserbahan nyo, kung yung actual sales, dinoble nyo lang. Kinota nyo lang, may PMRR pa kayo. May number of voters.
Now, why is that? Let's address this issue sa board. No? Bakit hindi pwedeng Pcso magdidictate? Ito dapat ang papasok sa amin. Hindi yung operator na nagdidictate. Ito lang ang pwede namin ipasok sa inyo. That's the essence of what Mr. Ang was saying, di ba? And narinig ko rin kay Mr. Bago, di ba? Ganun din eh. Sila na nagsasabi, ito lang yung para sa Pcso. Why is that? Kaya nga may PMRR, kaya nga meron kayong, di ba, yung control mechanism.
Mr. Chairman, totoo yun. Grabe ang corruption sa higher-ups ng Pcso. At I just want to ask AGM Gabuyo to be honest and don't mislead this investigating body. Oo. Dahil from the very start, alam nyo po, na itong STL ay you're in cahoots with the GM. Whoever is the GM is, kung ikaw ang, nung panahon ni Joy Rojas, ikaw ang AGM nun, kasabwat ka. Lalong-lalo na ngayon because it's only General GM Balutan and you. Kayo lang dalawa ang nagkakasundo dyan. Blinded po ang board at our newly appointed chairman, si Chairman Pinili, hindi din po niya alam, Mr. Chairman, kung anong nangyayari. But I'm telling you, Ms. Gabuyo, mayroon na po nakaready po ako sa anumang eventualities. May order na sa akin kung anong dapat gawin sa inyo. Maging honesto ka lang sa pagsasagot at pagbibigay ng mga remittances since 2017 para hindi tayo magkagulo. Huwag ka nang magsinungaling. Diretsuhin mo ang investigating body na to. Huwag mo kaming i-mislead. Kasi marami na akong nakuha na ipon kung sino ka at si GM Balutan.
Your Honor.
Congressman na ako.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if we look at the IRR, marami pong loopholes. There are so many loopholes. But I would like to ask the Pcso, how many times have you changed your IRR insofar as the STL operations are concerned?
I cannot exactly remember, sir. We have 2010, we have 2015, 2016, and 2017. 4 times.
And may I ask, Mr. Chair, were these IRRs approved by the President pursuant to Section 10 of your charter?
No, sir.
And therefore, you have been operating with an IRR that was not approved in accordance with law. Siguro doon nanggagaling yung problema natin. Dahil pwedeng baliwalain nyo yung IRR because it was never approved by the President who was or who is the approving authority pursuant to your charter. Tama po ba? Kasi binabaliwala ninyo eh. Walang approval ng Presidente. But your law or your charter says that your IRR, your rules and regulations should be approved by the President. Tama?
Sir, I refer that, sir, to the legal department, sir.
So, among the 3 or 4 IRRs na revise or na amend, alin doon yung approved ng Pangulo lang? Not even one. So, paano kayo?
Mr. Chairman, can I add po tungkol dun sa kay AGM Gabuyo? And I want her to have it under oath para hindi siya makapagsinungaling. I have a memo.
Were you administered your oath? Not yet. First time kang first time? Comsec, kindly administer the oath to AGM Gabuyo. Kasama na rin yung yung sa mga AACs.
Kayo po bago.
Tapos na po ba kayo yung first? How about the other 2? Tapos na rin? Pakita yung kayong dalawa. And Ms. Gabuyo.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this Senate inquiry?
Yes.
Thank you.
Congressman Ako, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we look at the IRR, there's no protocol insofar as determination of earning AACs is concerned. Wala po. I have read the IRR thrice already. Wala eh. So, para bang they're not having this approved by the President simply because they want to do their own thing. Yung bang gusto nilang magawa yung kung ano man yung gusto nila. Dahil walang fixed na approved na rules and regulations eh. That is precisely why they cannot terminate even chance and speed game when they are similarly situated. We have brought this out in a House hearing and so far as this issue is concerned, Mr. Chair, and I have asked them that speed game and even chance are similarly located. They have the same violations. Why is it that even chance has been terminated and speed game has not yet been terminated? And they promised me that they would take these two together in the board meeting that they would have conducted after the hearing in the House of Representatives. But I do not know, Mr. Chair, if that board meeting pushed through. That is why I'm asking. Now, the other query that I have, Mr. Chair, is we go back to their mandate. May I ask the chairman or whoever is who can answer this question, what is the mandate of PCSO pursuant to your charter? Kasi yun dapat ang inyong guiding light eh. What is the mandate of PCSO?
Your Honor, well, the primary mandate is to raise fund for the health programs of the government and supervise the running of games of chance like Lotto and sweepstakes and STL for this matter now.
Para po sa kalaman ng marami, babasahin ko po yung declaration ng Republic Act number 1169 as amended, established the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes as the principal government agency for raising and providing funds for health programs, medical assistance, and services and charities of national character. Yun po. I do not think from the figures presented that you are not performing this mandate. Bakit? Magkano po ba before dumating po kayo, magkano po ba ang percentage ng charity fund? 20?
30%.
30%. Ngayon, it's only, if you look at your breakdown, it's only 12.9. Are you performing your mandate? Bakit biglang from 30% naging 12.9? Maybe that's precisely the reason why those Filipinos who are in need of medical assistance from the Pcso are complaining. Marami na po reklamo eh. So, yun po ang tanong ko sa inyo. Are you really performing your mandate as provided for by law when you have lowered your percentage of charity fund from 30 to 12.9? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Then, what could be the cause or causes of the shrinking charity fund?
Well, one of it, Your Honor, is the mandatory contributions that was legislated through
Due to special laws
Yes,
passed?
yes, Your Honor.
Hindi naman po kasama dapat yun. No, but hindi kasama dapat yun sa charity fund. Kasi under COA rules, hindi tayo pwedeng bawas kahit 5 sa charity fund. And that's the reason why I was questioning the 1.397 billion na ibabayad sa ELA na nakipag-debate po ako doon dahil hindi man po dapat nasa charity fund ilagay yun, dapat sa operating expenses. And Mr. Chairman, doon po sa naputol ako ng AGM Gabuyo. And I need her really to take her oath para hindi siya makapagsinungaling. Gabuyo recommended the non-printing of STL tickets by Pcso through a memo, admitting in her memorandum that anyway, AECs are not using them. Henceforth, she allowed them without sanctions, explicitly admitted by her to the previous board of Corpus. Binayaan ni Gabuyo na hindi gamitin STL Pcso printed printed tickets. At may memo siya. So, mayroon akong kopya niyan. I have a copy of that memorandum. Wala pa kami sa board.
Was there a board resolution that triggered that memo? Or it was just a memo?
It was just a memo.
Walang
Kasi
basis.
nga po,
Where is the board resolution?
kasi po, there's,
Do you have a copy of the board resolution?
Sir, nasa 2016 IRR po natin.
Wala. Wala nga IRR, walang
Sir,
basis yung IRR.
Can I answer po, sir? Okay, sir, first po, I'm not lying, no? Lahat po ng actions ko po, sir, is covered po ng board resolution. I'm just an implementation po, sir. Now, sir, yung letter po na hinahawakan po ni Director Sandra Cam, at that time na dumating po si Chairman Corpus, ang tanong po nun, hindi nga po sufficient yung binibigay po ng printing department namin para sa mga 18 AACs po. Ang sabi po sa akin ni Chairman Corpus, sigurado ka ba na ginagamit nila yung papelitos mo? I have no way, sir, to check po kung ginagamit ng 18 AAC at that time. Kasi po, sir, kulang po yung binibigay namin sa kanila. So talagang nagre-resort po yun na sila po yung sariling nag-print nun. Kaya at that time, sir, kaya ko po, sir, nirecommend yun. Because kulang po yung papelitos po na nabibigay namin sa mga AAC. So I don't like to be blamed, sir, na parang kulang na ho yung binibigay namin, binibigyan ho namin sila ng chance na sila po mag-print ng sarili nilang o gamitin nila yung hindi STL prescribed po. Kaya po yun yung naging desisyon na ang directive po sa akin ni Chairman Corpus is for them to allow them to print. Give them muna the 0.5% and hayaan mo muna sila mag-print habang binigyan lang namin, sir, sila ng parang prescribed Pcso po. Ticket.
So that means, Mr. Chairman, na ang nag-iimprenta ng mga papelitos na ito ay mismong yung mga wedding lords. So wala kaming way. And ayaw namin, with the new set of board members here, ayaw namin kami ang masisi. Kaya to Congressman Ako, rest assured, yung kini-question mo kanina, sa aming bagong board, headed by Chairman Pinili, ipapakita po namin na implement namin ang bawat word for word ng IRR na dapat i-approve muna ng ating Pangulong Duterte.
Mr. Chair, Congressman Ako, bago po siguro i-implement na isang bagay, pa-approve muna natin kay Presidente because it is mandated by law. And I do not know if you have a copy of an IRR submitted to the President already. And if you have, may we request a copy of such IRR?
Your Honor, just in reply to Congressman Jacobs, I believe the 2017 IRR was submitted to the Office of the President last November of this year. Of last
The
year.
status.
Sir, nag-follow up, the Pcso followed up the reply of the Office of the President, hindi po bumabalik sa amin. Then, as I mentioned earlier, there are actually 18 special laws which were legislated, and there were specific provisions that the sharer comes from the 30%, shall be sourced from the 30% charity fund, sir.
That's one of the purposes of this proposed legislation, no? To correct, because it will render repealed, no? Rendered repealed lahat yung mga earmarks na pinasado sa mga special laws once we enact this bill into law. But ang problema is nakatatlo-apat na hearings na tayo, instead of assisting us to justify the existence of STL, parang lalo lumalabo. So how can we cooperate with you? How can we incorporate the operation of STL in the new legislation kung ganyan kagulo? Ang gulo-gulo ng STL operation.
Your Honor, please.
Mr. Chair,
Your Honor, please.
Can I just add, napakarami kasing problema talaga ng IRR, no? But gusto ko lang i-point out, yung dun sa revenue allocation nila, ang price find 55% of net sales. Is that correct? Pero ang hindi nila kino-consider, Mr. Chair, na ang sa Luzon, ang STL, 2 ball. Sa Visayas, 3 ball. So, based on World Lottery Association rules, there is such a thing as return to player. Iba po ang competition ng return to player pag 2 ball at 3 ball. Alam nyo bubo yan. Kasi for example, sa sa Luzon, 1 to 38. Ang permutation niyan, 38 times 38, that's 1,444. Times 55%, lumalabas yan mga 800 pesos. Kaya yun ang pinapatama dun sa Luzon. Piso mo, 800. Ngayon, sa Visayas, iba po yung swertres. So, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang i-point out na dapat, since iba po ang STL or type of lottery in Visayas, in Mindanao, dapat sa IRR, iba rin ang competition nyo. Kasi magkakaiba yung return to player as per World Lottery rules. So, yan po ang pinopoint. Then, yung pagbayad nyo sa AAC ng 0.5%, eh dapat wag nyo na silang bayaran since they are the ones being granted the franchise, the license. Eh bakit pababayaran sila ng Pcso? It's either two things, kayo mag-print o wag na nyo na silang bayaran. Then ang suggestion ko po, Mr. Chair, based on research talaga, kung gusto talaga natin tamain to, hindi naman kailangan rin ng POS eh. Ang technology sa ibang bansa, smartphone na. Kung ang kuryador, gusto mo magpataya, smartphone na, nakaprogram na, may Bluetooth printer, lahat ng sales, may print ng bearer instrument na may watermark, lahat ng sales na sa smartphone ay direkta na sa Pcso malalaman. Hindi na kailangan ng POS. Pinoint out kasi ni Mr. Bago na mahal. Ngayon, kung gusto mo maging kuryador, ito dapat ang kapital mo, smartphone. Diba? So hindi ka na mawawalan. So kung gusto talaga yung tamain yan, it's being used in Asia, it's being used in Africa, it's being used in India. Smartphone na po. Bibigay mo sa pananaya, pipindutin yung 3 numero, may Bluetooth printer, piprint na yon, watermark. So, lahat ng sales po dito, direkta na. Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang i-point out, kung talagang gusto natin tamain to, kaya nating tamain po to. Salamat po.
Kaya namang itama, bakit hindi maitama?
Mr.
I can only venture a guess, kung bakit tayo itama. Kasi gusto nyo, well, hindi kayo, But gusto ng Pcso, malawak yung discretion. And when there's so much discretion, corruption comes in. Di ba ganun lang logical explanation eh?
Yes, Your Honor. In fairness naman siguro sa amin mga bagong dating, in fact, we were the one that initiated the amendments and to tighten the controls. And we were also the part of the board that suggested yung termination ng mga AACs which have violated the...
Di ba remember last hearing, sabi ko, yung hopes, malaki yung nilalaan namin dito sa bagong board because you're there to initiate the necessary reforms. Anyway, Mr. Bago, you'd like to say something?
Thank you, Your Honor. Meron lang po sana akong I have some suggestions kasi sabi po nila na ginagawa na nila yung IRR. This is all about yung sa price fund na 55%. Okay. Doon po sa IRR na ginagawa nung previous, makikita po ninyo to na there is no such thing doon na minimension kung magkano ang balanse ng price fund. Okay. Now, what happened? Ganito po kasi yan eh. Yung price fund, for example, is 55%. Okay. Ngayon, ang nakalagay lang po doon, the balance is held in trust by the AAC. So meaning, wala pong pakialam ang Pcso doon, although alam nila na mayroon. Magkano? Ang tanong, hindi nila alam. So, ang suggestion ko po, kung po pwede, ilagay lang po natin doon na magkaroon ng dalawa, kasi ang Pcso wala eh. So, kailangan po doon, pagka dineposito sa bangko yan, dapat po, dalawa ang nandoon, AAC at saka Pcso. Sila po yung nakapirma doon sa bank deposit para mag-withdraw at saka mag-deposit. Bakit po? Kasi doon po magkakaroon ng safety net measures. Alam ng Pcso kung magkano ang balanse ng price fund. Bakit po? Kasi sa panahon namin noon, wala pong nakaalam. Pag sinabing i-0-0 ninyo yung price fund, sa bangka po yan eh. Wala pong magawa. 0-0 talaga. Bakit? Ang sasabihin, mag-submit kayo ng report, patamahin nyo sa ganito, patamahin nyo sa lahat. So meaning, 0-0. Ang price fund po, walang nakakaalam kung magkano natitira. So ang suggestion ko lang po, habang ginagawa ninyo yan, isama ninyo ang Pcso doon sa bangko, kasama po ang AACs na magdeposito silang dalawa, sila mag-withdraw. Pero dapat po, ang chairman at saka GM, mayroon po silang karapatan din naman, they have also that continuing authority or waiver from the AACs or whoever na ma-examine po yung libro. Yung po, kasi nandun po ang korupsyon eh. Nandun po. Karagdagan po to sa sinabi ni Mr. Ang. Okay po.
Mr. Ang.
Ganito po yun. Pwede po yung 200 million, makukuha po yun. Alam po nyo kung bakit? Ang problema lang po talaga dito, sa totoo lang o hindi, andyan po si Mr. Inoncillo. Okay. Ang problema po dito is bookies. Andyan din po ang Ramroy. Anong problema nila? Bakit hindi nila namimit ang PMMR? Because of bookies. Existence of bookies and guerrilla operations. Kasi po, pinapayagan din po nila kasi yan eh. Meron pong dahilan kung magkaminsan. Paano po kasi, doon po sa isang area, halimbawa, tatlo nga sinasabi ko na na may mga stations, isa lang ang nire-remit nila, ganon. Masusugpo lang po talaga yan, sa totoo lang po, if we have to strictly enforce the elimination of booking operations and guerrilla operations. Yan lang po ang magiging ano niya. Paano po magagawa yan? Okay. Ang suggestion ko lang naman to personal. Okay. Ibaba po natin sa barangay ang lahat ng istasyon. Bakit? Kasi po, barangay po ang nakakaalam kung magkano sa kanila. Kasi for example, sa isang bayan, merong 3 station. Hindi po kayang makontrol. Ang problema po dito is control Hindi po kayang makontrol lang ng station manager yung 3. Kailangan po talaga niyan, makontrol yan. Meron po safety net, barangay po ang mag-asikaso. Per barangay po, maglagay tayo ng station per barangay. Sigurado po yan.
Yeah, Mr. Ang.
Your Honor, yes, hindi na kailangan, naipaliwanag ko nung kanina, hindi na kailangan pag-usapan yung bukis-bukis kasi quota system na nga ginawa ngayon Nakasara na mata ng gobyerno kung ano na lang ang isinasubmit ng mga operator, yun naman na totoo. Tapos, hindi rin maikukorek. Ano ko lang sa Pcso, ang tinitignan kasi natin, masyado tayo nakafocus kung ano yung operation niya ng STL. Hindi nyo tinitignan yung ibang option kung paano maikokorek. Kailangan lumayo kayo ng konti para makita nyo na may iba pa palang option. So kapareho nga na sabi ko as gaming consultant nga, hindi na maikokorek ang STL. Hindi na maikokorek yan. Makikipagpustahan ako sa inyo, hindi nyo mapapalabas ang actual sales hanggat na nag-ooperate private na tao. Kailangan gobyerno talaga. Ngayon, yung tinatanong ni dalawa to, yung isa, china-challenge kami ni Balutan, ako, napatunayan kaya ko raw ang 5 billion per month or 60 billion per year o ano, sina-challenge pa rin ng Senado na hindi rin namin kaya. Well, sa tamang panahon, pagka gusto na nakapag-desisyon na kayo, pwede tayo mag-usap-usap, papaliwanag ko sa inyo kung paano kayo mag-ooperate, hindi ang Pcso. At mapapakita ko rin sa inyo na mali ang operation niya. Hindi nyo na maikukorek yan, tandaan niya yan. Dahil nakadesign yan as failure. Walang solusyon. Ngayon, tukol sa 200, na yung 200 million na sinasabi nag-bribery ako, na nagbabribe kami, na naglalagay daw kami kay Balutan, kasi nungalingan po yan. Kung check-checkin nyo ngayon, pwede nyo imbestigahan ako ngayon, kasama, andyan si Ms. Sandra Cam, tsaka si Atty. Cruz, hindi ko kami nagbabribe yan. Isang beses ko lang nakita si Balutan. Gumagawa lang siya ng excuse para lang mapagtakpan lahat ng kalokohan niya, yun lang po.
Well, the question is Pcso ready to assume operation of the STL? How will you contend with the existing gambling lords, yung mga wedding operators? Yun na naman ang kalaban ninyo, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. And I think we have also to review, because there are many persons going around to have a ATO authority to operate. And I know that they are not the principal. So really, if they have already the ATO, they will get financiers. So that's really the issue now, and I hope that we can also evaluate if really the one given the ATO is really the one operationalizing the STL operations in the area. Ito yung napansin ko because there are many persons going to my office and asking if they can apply for an ATO. But I know na hindi siya yung financier. So yun ngayon ang mga challenge namin, and I hope na...
Di ba trabaho nila ng due diligence?
Oh, yes sir.
Kapag misrepresent, kumuha ng authority to operate, na hindi naman pala siya yung nabigyan ng o nagranta ng license, di ba? How does it happen?
Kasi sir, naghanap sila ng financier. So, di namin alam na yung financier nila. So, actually, this
Maybe from,
business
maybe from
transaction.
the STL operators. Ano actually yung experience yun sa ground? Sabihin nyo,
Well, once there, first of all, with due respect to
Sir, ako po yung sa Diamond Gaming sa Bulacan. With due respect sa lahat po nung nandito sa board, Congressman and Senator Lacson. Sa amin naman po sa ground, ever since noong 2006, ang una naming na-experience ala pong gustong maniwala nun sa STL. Kaya po sa Bulacan, 4 na bayan lang po ang nagumpisa. Dahil po noon, medyo alam naman yung nangyari. During the stoppage of the illegal number games, ang atin lang pong punto niya kung bakit nagumpisa to give sufficient trabaho sa mga na-dislocate. But noon po, ang mga local executive, hindi nila malaman kung ano ba itong STL. Is this proper o baka mamaya hindi na tayo mayor dito. So noon po kami sa Bulacan, ang nauna lang Santa Maria, Giginto, San Rafael, and Pulilan. All others, wala po yon. And there were municipalities or cities na ngayon na it almost took a year bago sila nag-umpisa. Lalo na po yung penetrated the former illegal number operators. So yun po. Now, lahat naman po ng rules, ang Bible namin dyan is the IRR. Kung ano po yung nakalagay doon on the pag-a-apply, ano ba ang kailangan? Nakaganon kami sa SEC, may korporasyon, meron kaming feasibility study. We comply to all of this. But sa ground po, ang palaging issue from the media, from other sources, we are not remitting the correct revenue. Palagi pong ganun. So hindi po, meron po kasing monitoring agency before Andun yung SOPD. With due respect sa Pcso po.
SOPD?
Sila po yung nagmo-monitor noon doon sa mga problema. Kaya po yung sinasabi ni Colonel Bago kanina, using the handheld terminal, nagkaroon na po kami dyan ng pagtatry noon sa area. May Koreano po noon Maya nga po, hindi kami nakakabayad. May subpena ako ng korte. But lahat po na yun, naka-stack lang sa amin dahil hindi namin nagamit. Ang naging problema po sa ground, hindi ma-accommodate kasi server po ang problema Pag po nagdatingan na yun, 3 times a day ang ating draw Hindi po kamukha ng loto, pupunta ka doon sa istasyon, kaunti lang ang dating. Hindi po kamukha ng barangay. Meron pa pong barangay na ang dispersal ng mga bahay layo-layo. Hindi po kayang abutin ng ating signal.
Sir Inosilio, magkanong daily gross sa Bulacan?
Ngayon po, doon po sa
Yung totoo muna. Magkano talaga?
Ngayon po, mga 4M yung aming nakadeklara
Yun na nakadeklara.
PMRR po, kasi yun po ang aming susunod.
Hindi, ang tatanong ko, yung totoong gross kobransa sa isang araw sa Bulacan. Huwag yun sa PMRR.
Hindi po ako knowledgeable doon masyado. Nung po kasi magpasa ako ng 4 lang Nung nag-umpisa kami.
Senior Superintendent Karamat, magkano ang daily gross dyan? Yung totoo
Yes, sir.
Average
based on
lang.
My assessment, sir. Safe answer, sir. More or less 10 million, sir.
Yeah, 10 million.
Yes, sir.
10 to 12 actually. That's 10 to 12. Yung unsafe.
1.5, sir.
2020.
You see, nakita nyo yung discrepancy? Yung PMRR, sinasabi niya, tentative pa nga Tapos compared to the actual or yung potential na dapat nakokolekta, ang laking discrepancy
Mr. Chairman,
something?
Mr. Chair.
Sige, okay. Congressman Spino. After Congressman Spino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, pero nasadlak na po yung investigasyon natin sa Panaypera. Pero po gusto ko sana bangitin dito sa mga impitado tayo, mga mayors dito. May mga bagay po na naistorbo rito sa mga pangyayari dito sa ating STL, ng mga institution natin na nasisira, lalo na po bangitin natin local government, ang ating po mga PNP. Ating mga PNP parang mga laruan na lang. Kung hindi po napulpil yung kanilang PMMRR, sinisisi po yung mga pulis. Kaya alam po naman ninyo, naging pulis din kayo, Mr. Chairman. Pag hinabol mo isang kobrador, isang pulis ang kailangan mo. Ikukunti po naman ang pulis natin. Tsaka yung mga pulis natin, hindi na po para kobrador itong mga to. Ito po yung mga hinahanap natin pang terorista, sinasabi ko sa hearing namin sa House. So yung ginagamit natin sa mga bank robbers, sa mga sindikato. Pero nagiging na-highlight yung trabaho nila, hindi po sila, kukulang po sila sa panguhuli sa mga kobrador. May mga pamilya din po itong mga to, mga professionals din itong mga to. Bakit po natin sila insultuin lang ganun? Kasi coming from the words of Mr. Balutan, ang sabi po niya, Mr. Chairman, anemic yung performance ng mga pulis, kaya hindi po nakaka-perform sa mga pulis natin. Anyway, sir, kaya nga isang ano ko dito sa pan natin, ako po, nung gobernador ako, inilapit po yung steel na yan. At yung pong words na sinabi kong this is designed to fail, sinabi ko po na yan nung gobernador pa ako. Alam po ni Mr. Charlie yan. Nabilanggit ko po yun dahil nung binasa ko po yung IRR nila, hindi po nila-involve ang local government. Ito dapat ang mga partners nila kasi lahat po ng paggagawa nila ng kanilang STL, ito po sa probinsya, sa mga bayan, sa mga syudad. Ito pong mga governors, mga city mayors, na sila po ang head doon sa probinsya, head ng mga pulis, Peace and Order Council Chairman, at sila po nagbibigay ng mga lisensya sa anumang activity na gawin sa probinsya o sa mga syudad, ay wala po sa IRR. Hindi po sinali. Kaya ang sabi ko, talagang dinisign ito ng mga gambling lords. At alam ko naman po kung sino sila ang nag-design ito. Dahil pulis din po ako dati. Anyway, kaya ko sir sinasabi ito dahil kawawa ito mga pulis natin. Pagkatapos yung institusyon na nasisira, ang kanilang credibility sa kanilang mga bayan, kagaya po sa Pangasinan ngayon, ito po lahat ng report ng mga pulis doon, sir, na ipinasok doon illegally at anomalously, na anomalous, sir, ang paglalagay doon sa kanilang nung speed game na nandun sa amin ngayon. At nandito si Ms. Gabuyo, nandito yung mga bagong mga kwan natin, mga bago nating mga membro ng board, sir, na hiniling ko noong December 11 sa kanila. Dahil tinerminate nila yung dating nandun. Siguro, sir, ang kulang nun na hindi niya nabayaran sa kanyang PMR, may 1 bilyon. Pagkatapos po, sabi ko sa kanila, habang magulo pa ako, pwede ba, pag muna kayong maglagay. Kaya tama po yung sinasabi nila rito kanila, sir, lahat po narinig ko rito, tama. Sabi po ni Chairman Pinili, control at accounting ang kulang natin. Tama po yun. Dito sa mga sinasabi sa board, diktatorya pong nangyayari dan. Si Gabuyo lang po at saka si Balutan na nasusunod dyan, yung mga board po, hindi po alam ang nangyayari dyan. Kaya po nagkaroon ng order po doon, nagkaroon bigla ng operator doon, ng AAC doon sa Pangasinan, na hindi alam po ng mga board. Dahil po nandito yung mga listahan, abutin lang po tayo ng ano, nire-write ko na po dito yung mga Pcso, kung ano po ang mga nangyari doon po sa house. Ito po halimbawa, ito po, violation po ito. Kaya itong ginagamit, itong speed game doon, na mga resibo po nila. Ito po ang ginagamit sa ngayon. Bagong huli po ito, 2 araw pa lang po ito. Yung hinihiling ko na huwag muna silang maglagay doon ng, ano sir, ng, what do you call this, ng AAC, dahil po hindi pa na-approve ng board at hindi nasunod po ang proseso. At nung last hearing po, inamin ni Ms. Gabuyo na hindi po dumaan sa board yung approval niyan. Palagi ko naman, aminin mo yun, inamin mo yun doon sa hearing sa House. At sinabi pa rin, sir, nung hearing namin sa nakaraan, sa katatanong namin kay Mr. Balutan, ang sabi po niya, ano daw po ang gagawin niya sa mga very powerful gambling lords. I think you heard that when he said that. Kasi nagko-complain po siya kung bakit daw ngayon may hanap buhay ng may kinikita ng Pcso, bakit daw may mga umaangal pa. Samantalang noon po, wala namang kinikita ang Pcso. Nandiyan po siya, sinabi ko nung tanungin ko, mga pulis na namamatay kasi dinidescribe ko po yung mga pulis, huwag sinisisi dahil ito pang panlaban namin ng mga terorista. Bakit ang sagot po niya sa akin? How about if we confronted with a very powerful gambling lord? Sabi po niya. Kaya sabi ko, nagulat po ako, Jesus Mario, may trabaho mo yan eh. Yan po ang sagot po niya sa akin. Kaya po, Mr. Chairman, tama po si Mr. Ang, palagi ko po, mahirapan po tayong baguhin lahat ito. Ako po, very hopeful po ako noon. Dahil lang sabi nga po rin, dalawang isusolve natin para kumita ang Pcso for charity at matapos na po ang illegal gambling. Wala po akong problema doon sa kwan. Ang nagmamanage po yung mga gambling lords, pero wag naman sana lahat. Kaya isa lang siguro, dalawa. Kaya gambling lords po, dahil yung po ang binabago po natin eh. Gagawin nga po tayo natin ng legal, yung mga illegal nila eh. Kaya okay lang po sana yun. Pero ang nangyari, ang nakurap natin itong Pcso mismo. Dito na nanggaling mga kalukuhan ulit. Kaya naman yan ulit ang mga gambling lords. Sana silang kinontrol natin, silang binago natin, hindi. Ang nabago natin itong proseso dito sa ating mismong STL management. That become the problem. Kaya po sabi ni Mr. Ang at naniniwala po ko na habang nandyan yan, sa sistemang nangyayari po ngayon, ay hindi po na natin mababago ito, sir. Palagay ko ganito na po nito. Kaya dito, sir, sabi ko sa inyo, noong pong ipresenta sa Pangasinan yan, noong gobernador na po yung anak ko, hindi pa akong gobernador, dahil gobernador, presidente na po si Presidente Duterte, babasahin ko lang po, sir, kung pwede yung sulat na ginawa nung napuno na rin yung gobernador ng Pangasinan, gumawa po ng sulat para kay Chairman Pulpos at saka kay Mr. Barutan na hindi naman po sinagot. Ito po yung sulat, kung pwede po, basahin ko lang, sir, dahil hindi po nakarating yung gobernador natin at may kompromisa po siya ron. Nandun po yan, hindi po yung palakihan. Anyway, sir, dear Chairman Pulpos, as the duly elected governor of the province of Pangasinan and mandated by the local government code to exercise general supervision and control over all programs, projects, services, and activities of the province, I write to the Pcso leadership in the following noticeable irregularities being disseminated and implemented by the Pcso, which absolutely contradict with the provisions and implementing rules and regulations of the Pcso small town lottery and other pertinent laws affecting the Pcso operations. These dubious activities are generating chaotic scenario, which is very detrimental to our province and to the people of Pangasinan. This I will not take sitting down. Thus, in the name of fairness, I am giving now a chance for Pcso to immediately address the following complaints and observations. Per local government code, Pcso is mandated to coordinate and collaborate with the LGUs on any projects, activities that will be done on the concerned LGU. Per your IRR, the area of operation of small town lottery is in the province. But how come we were never accorded courtesy of even just consultation before you started your stale operations here, which I understand started in March and which was terminated by your office in the first week of December last year. Number two, though feeling so bad because of being insulted by the above-cited non-consultation with us, I kept my silence in deference to the counsel of my father, a former police officer, two-term congressman, governor for 3 terms, and now again a congressman, who told me then these exact words: pagbigyan mo sila dyan, Pogi, alam ko sincero si Presidente na masugpo ang illegal gambling. Makita mo lang kasi sa mga inappoint na chairman at general manager na parehong mayor at retired generals. So I left everything regarding this matter to our very capable PNP Provincial Director, who is also a mayor. To my dismay, yesterday, our PNP Provincial Director officially wrote to me inquiring on the veracity and regularity of the Pcso's directive that apparently are confusing, which may lead to misunderstanding between the provincial government, local executives, the PNP personnel of the province, and the gaming operations themselves, which will result eventually to peace and order problem. I have been informed by the President of the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, or ULAP, and the Chairman of the League of the Province of the Philippines, Governor Albichara. The ULAP has also a resolution airing disappointment on the stale operations of the Pcso, and many already submitted sangguniang panlalawigan resolutions to discontinue the present stale operations in the respective provinces because of Pcso's inefficiency and inconsistency. Likewise, even the Office of the President is now currently reviewing the eminent and inevitable role of the LGU on the Pcso gaming operations. During the recent Congress hearing regarding STL operations, the provincial government was informed of the heated discussion on the Pcso STL irregularities, and it is very unfortunate that in the province of Albay, fatal encounters occurred due to STL operations. I share also the gravity of the STL irregularities in Camarines Sur. To prevent the same untoward encounters, General Balutan was asked to defer authorizing another AEC in Pangasinan pending investigation and proper coordination. Ito po yung binabanggit ko na ako po ang humiling nito sa kanya. Number 5, how come despite the foregoing circumstances, General Balutan insisted on authorizing speed game incorporated to operate still in Pangasinan? This purports arrogance to its strongest sense, as not even a slight sense of respect was accorded to the LGUs, to the people of Pangasinan, to the Congress of the Philippines, to the OLAP, and even if this authorization is sanctioned by board resolution, we, the provincial government, will question the resolution conformity with the IRR and other pertinent laws. Again, under my watch, I will not allow any illegal gambling in my area of jurisdiction, and peace and security will always be my priority. With this, I appeal that Pcsos immediately restrain from staying operations in the province of Pangasinan until these irregularities are resolved. I wish not to start 2018 questioning Pcso, but I have a commitment to the people of Pangasinan as their governor. Attached is the letter to me by the provincial director. There is a letter of the provincial director asking the Pcso of the confusing order to him. That's why this prompted the governor to write this letter. And it was never answered. The answer was placing there an EEC set to operate. So the claim a while ago that the board is not working as a board, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you are new, the three of you here, Chairman Pinili, Mr. Sultayan, Director Cam, but the old board is not working as a board. There was dictatorship there. I think it was a partnership between Balutan and Ms. Gabuyo. That is the talk in the town. Hindi naman may kakailan mga usapan dyan sa underworld. Kami mga dating polis. Mga balita lang dyan, 100% eksakto. Kung lumating yan. Kaya pati itong mga events na minisyon ko sir doon sa wala tayong oras dito, nandito lahat ang petsa ng mga nangyari sa kanilang board, alam po namin lahat. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Congressman Ako.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have here a copy of the Manila Times dated February 12, 2018, and at the back page is an advertisement of, I would like to quote, United Stand of STL Operators. There are 3 AACs here already. May we ask if they know anything about this?
Please respond, Mr. Mercado, Mr. Olivares. Magkano binayo nyo dyan sa sa full page ad? Magkano contribution? Hindi nyo alam yan. Hindi ko alam to. Pero kayo yung sinasabi dyan United Stand.
Mr. Chair, wala po akong nalalaman po dito.
Si Mr. Mercado.
Mr. Chair, wala po. Wala pong idea.
Mr. Inoncilio.
Mr. Chair, may I proceed? It's stated here, and in capital letter, more big letters, we condemn all planned and systematic defamation against us by a notorious gambling lord, 10 of his allies in politics, and other private individuals and groups. May I ask the Pcso if you have anything to do with this? Remember that you are under oath, and we can ask the publishers of this newspaper who asked that this be printed in their newspaper. May I ask the Pcso if you have anything to do with this?
Your Honor, personally, wala ko akong alam dyan.
Ms. Cam.
Wala din po ako alam, pero ang Manila Times po is the PR man of GM Balutan. Pangalawa na po yan, nung una, nag-advertise siya, paid advertisement, the whole page, na ang Employees Association daw ng Pcso is against me, ganito ganyan. Pero nang mga tinanong ko yung mga empleyado doon, wala daw silang nalalaman. So, gawain po yan, Mr. Dante Ang and Mr. Chairman. I may suggest po na ipatawag ito si Dante Ang ng Manila Times kasi siya ang PR man po ni Mr. Balutan. At malaki po ang perang involved dyan. Opo. Yung advertisement budget po ng Pcso ay napakalaki. At iyan ay next kong...
Can you hire a PR firm for the Pcso without a board resolution?
Sa kay GM Balutan lang yan.
No, is there a board resolution?
No.
Even before you came in as board directors, Mr. Balite?
Wala siguro, wala, Mr. Chair.
Walang board resolution?
Parang wala.
So, paano gagastos?
At saka wala akong alam dyan, Mr. Chair. Yung sa parang...
Yeah. Paano kayong mag-appropriate o mag-allocate ng pondo for a full-page ad?
And that cost around 300,000
yan ang
for the whole
cost yan
page. Kaya nung...
And nobody among the board members?
Wala po. Even Chairman Pinili doesn't know that.
Mr. Chair, can I say something? I have a suspicion that this came from from a PCSO source. Because while they project a united stand of STL operators, merong statement dito na nakalagay attributing to themselves, not necessarily the board now, no, but maybe General Balutan, AGM Gabuyo, or whoever. Nakalagay po dito the 15.7 billion earnings of the Duterte administration in 2017 compared to our only 4.7 billion annually under the Basto administration, ito na po, is the product of our employees' hard work. Is the product of our employees' hard work, meaning PCSO's employees' hard work. So, while they're trying to hide the true advertiser, lumalabas dun sa whereas sila yung tinatamaan ng investigation, kaya sila yung nagpapalabas po nito. So I think while we are doing this in aid of legislation and to correct the wrongs, dapat we should all be positive in how we can correct this. Hindi yung mga ganitong mga advertisement, Mr. Chair, tapos ang nakakalungkot kung government money was used instead of it being used for charity fund. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Gabuyo, do you know anything about this? Have you heard about this?
No, sir.
Were you told about this?
No po.
So who knows?
I don't know, sir.
Ganun nga po ang nangyari. Nung una, nag-advertise sila, pinipraise nilang sabi nila galing sa Employees Union. Pero ang dami ko pong tinanong, kasi itong mga sources ko po dito, mga empleyado din. And so, AGM Gabuyo and GM Balutan at lahat ng AGMs dito, nakukuha ko ang impormasyon mismo galing sa loob. So, kagaya nito, gusto kong bumalik po doon, Mr. Chairman, sa sinasabi ni AGM Gabuyo na hindi totoo, hindi siya nagsisinungaling tungkol dun sa printing. Printing department is printing all her orders of tickets needs during that time, and there were papers available pa during that time. And she recommended not to use na. Printing is recommending to use the available tickets, and she insisted no more printing. That is the reason, kaya sa amended IRR, it was allowed, and si Gabuyo ang nagpagawa, ma-include. Nauna ang recommendation po, Mr. Chairman, kaysa IRR. Now, AGM Gabuyo now is saying sumusunod lang siya sa IRR. Siya ang nagpagawa sa IRR na ma-amend to include that. So, lies again. Please ask AGM Gabuyo again. Which came first? Your recommendation or amended IRR? And I will cite you for lying kanina. Kasi nagsinungaling siya, sir. Oo. We have to stop this. Pagsisinungaling nyo at sama-sama nyo ni GM Balutan, para ma-mislead ang ating bayan. Kaya I'm asking a favor from Mr. Chairman ng this committee na i-cite niyo po siya for lying to her teeth.
Meron bang representation expenses ang Pcso or the GM? Binigyan ba ng board ng authority ang general manager ng Pcso na magkaroon ng representation expenses? Wala.
As to amount, well, ang alam ko kaming board, may rata kami, which is 15,000 naman. So, the GM should, or most probably have a higher rata. I'm just not sure kung...
Would you know how much? Ba't wala kayong alam tungkol sa Pcso? Ms. Gabuyo?
Sir, I do not know po kung ano. I think it's...
Pero meron.
I think so, sir. It's the admin who knows, sir.
Admin, meron bang admin dito? So, you know, we'd like to see justification. Yung gagastos sa isang, assuming that it was Balutan who caused the publication of this paid ad, ano? Costing, sabihin natin, 250 or 300,000 pesos just for one day. May panggagalingan yan. And kung government fund yan or Pcso funds, dapat alam ng board. Di ba? Or at least man lang yung lump sum amount being given to the GM for representation. Kasi kung 15,000 a month ang rata ng board director, hindi naman siguro makapagpa-publish ng ganito to. And you know, he's engaging even this committee and the House Committee sa media war. Di ba? Sabi nga ni Congressman Villaperte, instant giveaway while they're trying to hide kung sino talaga because United stand ng mga STL operators. Pero mag-attribute naman na parang merong self-advocating praise na sasabihin mo pa yung mas pataas yung kinikita mo. So, nanghinahin pa doon sa ginagastos sa pang-paid ad para mamenos yung masama na rin doon sa propaganda.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may add, na itong ad na to lumalabas na yung PCSO, whoever that is protecting the current STL operators na ayaw nilang ma-question the existing system. The reason why we're here is we're investigating on how we can improve the collection, raise revenues, and you know, which will lead down to charity fund. But kung ang nangyayari po is if certain members of the PCSO will try to protect gambling lords pretending to be AACs, then there's really something wrong within PCSO. And lumalabas po sa hearing sa Senado, sa Kongreso, na talagang may collusion within PCSO to protect these gambling lords. And lumabas na to kayo sa statement ni General Balutan doon sa hearing sa Congress na nahirapan raw siyang ibalanse. Lalo na mahirapan raw siyang labanan ng mga gambling lord. Simple lang naman yan eh. Kung ang gambling lord gumagawa ng mali, di pahinto. At challenge nga niya si Director Sandra Cam and certain members, si Mr. Charlie Atong Ang on media, na kung kaya nyo makakolekta ng 6 billion, mag-resign ako. Mali eh. Kung hindi mo kayang kolektahin yung dapat mag-resign. Not involve any personalities. We are here, we are all government workers here eh. Meaning we were here to do a job and we have to do it with our best. Kung hindi natin kaya, then either we resign or face the consequences. This is mainly the reason why we're here. Thank you.
I agree with you, Congressman Villafuerte. At gusto ko na po ngayon ipasok yan dahil yung mga listahan ng AAC, I'm interested on the AAC in Iloilo Province. This certain AAC, pangalan nito is Sam Aguilar, is also one of the narco list doon sa listahan po ng ating Pangulong Duterte na nasa narco list. Ito yon si Odicta, Mabilog, and Sam Aguilar. Mayroon po ako ng mga papeles na dumating na sa akin kung sino ito si Sam Aguilar. But it so happened that Sam Aguilar is frequenting visiting GM Balutan before na hindi pa kami dumating. At Ngayon, AGM Gabuyo, can you please tell this honorable body kung ito ba ay nakabayad na ng PMRR? Ang cash band ba nito ay nakabayad? Kasi it seems na pagdating sa kaibigan, mga kamista nila, kahit hindi nagbayad ng cash band at shortfall sila sa PMRR, sige-sige lang. So hanggang ngayon, nandyan yan ang sa Iloilo province. And I've met him outside. He's trying to shake my hands, but I refused because I said, you are one of those who are on the list of no other than PRID in the narco list of Iloilo province. Pero binigyan pa po ito ng pagkakataon ni GM Balutan and of course in cahoots with AGM Gabuyo para mabigyan ito ng franchise doon sa Iloilo province. Now, I just want to ask AGM Gabuyo, magkano ba ang naiwan na cash band ni Mr. Aguilar, Sam Aguilar, at magkano ang shortfall nito sa PMRR? And the other thing is, Mr. Chairman, andito naman lang, gusto ko din na itanong kung sino itong Happy Cool. Because apparently, itong mga ng Happy Cool dito sa Cavite at saka sa NCR, ito yung mga Uyami Group. Class 1982 na mga general. So, ang lumalabas ngayon, ang namamayagpag na mga AACs ngayon ay mga military men at ang nasa likod nito ay walang iba kundi ang pinaka-big time na gambling lord, kagaya din po ng Bulacan. Si Mr. Monsillo? Montesillo. Sino po ang financier niyo po? Sa Bulacan? Huwag kang magsinungaling. Oh.
Ms. Cam, you address
sorry,
your-
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. I'm
Always
sorry.
address the chair.
Okay po.
Mr. Inosilio, kindly respond.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, nung ako po i-hire dyan as provincial coordinator, ang pangulo po nun, mga taga Bulacan lahat po na incorporators taga Bulacan. Kaya po hindi ako pwedeng sumagot. Ang kaya ko lang po sagutin, kung ano yung nasa GIS, yun lang po ang kaya kong isagot.
Mr. Chairman, as far as I know...
Hindi ko masyadong nakuha. Hindi ulit yung explanation.
Sir, kasi ang tinatanong po sa akin,
Ikaw ang nakalista as AAC, hindi ba?
Ngayon lang po,
ikaw ang chairman ng corporation or
Presidente po
president
ngayon.
ng corporation?
Yes, sir.
And yet, ang kaya mo lang sagutin, GIS.
Yun lang po kung
GIS.
ano yung nakalagay ng pangalan, incorporators kami, yun lang po kaya kong sagutin kay ma'am.
Kilala mo lahat yon.
Opo.
Ikaw naglabas ng pera rito?
Hindi po, but nung
Sino naglabas ng pera? Malaking pera ito, band lang. Magkano ang band ng Bulacan? Magkano cash band ng Bulacan?
110 po.
110 million. Hindi naman sa minamata kita, pero
Yes, sir.
ikaw naglabas ng 110 million?
Hindi po, sir.
Sino?
Incorporators po.
Hindi, sino nga? Sino?
Meron pong Hector Maliwa, trackers ng San Ildefonso. Meron po.
Sino talaga ang financier niyan? Sabi mo na lang yung totoo.
Ang inabutan ko po, sir, yung presidente nung akihar
Sino presidente? Sino
Yung
nga?
Aurelio Cruz po yun.
Mr. Chair, nagsisinungaling siya. Pareho din niya ng even chance si Mr. Canlas na hindi alam kung saan nagbobola at hindi masabi kung saan binubola. Ang instead na pili, mapili. So, alam mo sir, mabuti pa magsabi ka na ng totoo dahil alam ko naman na si Bong Pineda dyan ang financier niyo.
Hindi ko po alam yun.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question? Kilala mo ba si Mr. Bong Pineda?
Marami-
You're under oath.
Kilala ko po, pero ako baka hindi niya kilala.
Paano mo siya nakilala?
By names po yan eh. Sa larangan naman ng ano, minsan nakakapagtanong tayo.
Sino po siya?
Ang alam ko po, taga Pampanga.
At anong pagkaalam mo sa kanya? Anong hanap buhay niya? Anong pagkaalam mo siya? Ano ba
Ang
siya?
alam ko po, meron
Artista
siya-
ba siya? Celebrity ba siya? Politiko ba siya? Ano ba?
Ang alam ko po, meron siya mga negosyo dati ng hardware. Yun lang, hindi po masyado. Wala po akong ganong connection sa kanya. Hindi ko naman po kasi kakilala.
So you're under oath, hindi
Yes,
so
sir.
hindi ano.
Yes, sir.
Are you
Yes,
are you the current president of
Yes,
this
sir. Yes,
corporation?
sir.
So being the current president sa Bulacan kayo po, no?
Yes, sir. Opo.
Ilan ba ang bayan sa Bulacan?
23 po yun.
Sa buong Bulacan?
Opo, ang city po doon eh 3 na. Malolos.
Okay. Magkano ba ingreso sa Bulacan?
Yung pong 110 ngayon.
Oh, 110?
Monthly.
Monthly.
Kaya mga 4 million a day po yun.
4 million a day times 30.
3.8 to 4 million a day.
So 4 million times 30, 120 million. So
110 lang po mahigit.
So gumagamit ba kayo ng mga papelitos?
Yung pong printout, yung piniprint na papelitos.
Sino nagpe-print po nun?
Meron na po kaming authority na kami yung mag-print eh.
Hindi, yung piniprint nyo, yung Pcso prescribed
Yes
form?
sir, yes sir, yun po, metatak.
Yung dun sa Bulacan ba, yung ano ba nyo, yung pinagbobolahan ba nyo, meron kayong ginagamit pang bola, tama?
Yung pong machine.
Anong klaseng machine yun? Saan galing yun?
Para pong kamukha nun sa loto.
So,
Pcso po galing
Pcso sanction yun.
Alam po nila yung brand, tsaka yung ano. Yung...
Meron bang, ilang bang bulahan nyo?
Isa lang po.
Paano kung
Pagdinig
masira?
Bulacan, isa lang po ang draw place. No?
Hindi, paano kung masira yun?
Meron pong alternate, dalawa eh.
So, yun yung ginagamit nyo?
Yes sir.
Ngayon, ang tanong ko, yung band na binigay po nyo sa Pcso, magkano ulit yun?
110 po.
So,
10 million sir to 110.
So, saan galing po yung pera na yun?
Progressive po kasi, cumulative, hindi naman na-withdraw yung
Ikaw, magkano share mo doon?
20% po.
So, 22 million ang binigay mo doon?
Eh, dumami na po eh. Kasi po, buhay
Hindi, yung ano, sabi mo 20% ang share mo doon. So, 22
Hindi
million.
po, ngayon na, latest po. From 5, before I to 1 to 5 to 20.
Hindi, simple lang tanong, 110 million yung, yung band.
Opo, sir.
Ang sabi nyo po, 20% ang share nyo doon.
Yes, sir.
Kayo po?
Yes, sir.
So, 22 million po yun.
Yes, sir.
Bago po kayo pumasok dito sa negosyong na ito, ano ba ang negosyo pa nyo?
Minsan po, buy and sell, saka merong konting nakarehistro na yun po nagsusupply ng mga safety equipment lang.
Anong buy and sell yun? Parang gusto ko rin yun, magandang kumita doon, may 22 million
Hindi naman sir, sasakyan. Eh, pag-user kasi punerarya ginawa, 100,000 ang kinikita.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang pong kasi on record to, no? At malaki talaga ang suspicion na even Bulacan in other areas, it's being used by current gambling lords. Maybe later on we can tackle that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Mr. Aguilar is here. Siya yung nabanggit mo kanina, Sandra?
Yes,
Siya ang
sir.
operator ng Iloilo.
Yes, sir. Iloilo Province. At mayroon na ako ng intelligence report tungkol sa drug, niya. Kompleto na po ako.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang pong ibalik dun sa hindi ko talaga maubos maisip na makapagbibigay pa ng charity itong Pcso eh. Kasi kung titignan po natin yung kanilang revenue allocation, wala talagang matitira para sa mga tao eh, as far as their computation is concerned with 12.9%. Kasi the way I look at it, unang-una, under gross sales receipt, yung printing cost, ang pwede lang maiwan sa 2% dun sa AAC is 0.5%. Tama? Yes. Pero yung 1.5% binabalik sa inyo. Inauthorize nyo nga sila na mag-print, pero yung 1.5% na pag-print, kinukuha ninyo. So, naiiwan lang sa kanila 0.5%. Baka naman yun ang dahilan bakit papelitos ng wedding ang ginagamit. Dahil kulang yun.
Ms. Gabuyo, don't just nod your head. You use the microphone.
Sir, before po kasi sir, yung kami po yung nagpiprint noon, retain po namin yung 2% po. And then when Chairman Corpus sa Assumpis Office, nung may consultation po siya sa mga AACs noon, they admittedly na kulang po yung binibigay namin. So, inalaw po silang to print, provided po, sa kanila po yung 0.5.
Excuse me, Congressman Akop, were you present during the consultation with the AACs?
Yes po.
Sino-sino mga nandun?
Yung 18 po, yung 18, yung unang 8.
Was
Yung
Bob
old,
Pineda present? during
wala
the
po
meeting?
sir. Wala
Sino
po.
mga gambling lords nandun?
Sir,
Kasi apparently, yung mga AACs, yung mga listed operators, Hindi siya masyadong maalam tungkol sa operation ng STL, di ba?
Sir, actually po, ang umattend po ng meeting noon, yun yung po yung mga operations manager at that time.
Yung naibabalik na 1.5%, saan po nyo ginagamit?
For now po, sir, wala pong nasa ano lang po namin, nasa treasury, sir. Nire-remit po sa amin ng AAC po.
And who is in charge of this fund?
Charge. Pcso po, sir.
I mean, what particular office and who is the particular individual handling this?
Sir, yung remittance po, sir, ng... sir, treasury po. Treasury.
Yes. And could you please provide this committee a certification to the effect that the 1.5% is within your treasury at the Pcso?
Yes, sir.
Kung nandito po yung taga-treasury. Gusto namin malaman talaga kung kasi yung sagot mo kasi sa akin bilang investigador, Madam Gabuyo, ay nagdududa ako talaga kasi hindi definite yung sagot mo sa akin. Ano po?
Sir, we could provide, sir.
Yes. Could you please provide this committee a certification to the effect na ito na yung 1.5% dahil sabi mo, hindi nyo nagagamit. So gusto kong malaman kung talagang intact yung 1.5%
Yes, sir.
of the printing cost. Okay?
Okay po.
Next. Yung, ano kaya sa tingin mo, yung 10% na agency commission, would it be enough for the operations of the AACs? Yung 10%?
Sir, I'm not, sir, in a position to determine, sir, kung enough po yung 10% po sa AAC.
May we ask the AAC's representatives who are present, Mr. Chair, if the 10% commission that they get from Pcso or from the prize fund would be enough for their operations?
Mr. Mercado? Wala. Si Mr. Ramloy.
Good morning po sa lahat, Mr. Chair, and to all of you. Ang 10% po ay sa palagay namin, okay po sa amin. Kaya lang, totoong lumaki po ang PMRR po namin. Katulad po nabanggit ko sa inyo nung una tayo nag-hearing noong January, ang kalaban po namin sa ground ay ang illegal bookies na kung saan hindi po napag-uusapan dito. Yung pong illegal bookies na yan, ang malaking kumukuha ng aming pong total share sales. Ang kumpransya po namin lumiliit, gawa po niyang yung illegal bookies.
Sino po ba yung nagpapabuki sa Laguna?
Meron po kami mga alam na nagpubukis dyan. At ang
sinong operator ng bukis doon?
Hindi ko po masabi sa inyo kung sino, pero ang ating pong PNP, alam po nila kung sino-sino po yan. Hindi po natin sinisisi ang PNP pagkat sa kanila po ay may record. May record. Even po ang ating ang ating regional directors office ay may record po sila niyan kung sino-sino po ang
Mr. Olivares, ang direct competitor nyo yung mga bukis. Ito yung nakakabawas na malaki sa inyong dapat na generate na revenues. Hindi nyo alam kung sino yung kalaban nyo doon?
bibigay po namin sa inyo.
Hindi na, sabihin mo na lang dito. Kasi
Mahirap po sabihin. Alam niyo po naman ang kalalagayan po natin.
yung pulis nga, tinuturo mo eh.
Hindi ko po tinuturo ang pulis pagkat ang palagay ko po, ang pulisya ay may kaalaman po rito. Alam nila kung sino, hindi po, wala pong alam sa bukis, ngunit alam nila kung maaari ang mga kung sino-sino yan.
Sir, may speak, sir. Sir.
Ang tinatanong ko po sa inyo is, sa ngayon, panahon, kasi pababa yung 10%, dahil meron na po kayong kalaban na bukis.
Opo.
Kasya pa rin.
Opo.
So, kayo nakikipaglaban doon sa illegal.
Yes.
Tama po? Yes. Opo. Now, may I ask the Pcso, how do you monitor whether the 55% of net sales is given by the AACs. Ano po ang monitoring mechanism ninyo?
Based on the report submitted to us.
Sino po ang nagsasubmit ng report? Yung AACs?
Opo, yung AACs po.
And you believe in the reports that they are giving you? Na yung 41.205%, which is net of prize fund, ay binibigay nila dun sa nananalo?
Sir, so far naman po sir, based on sa submitted nilang report sir, yun po yung pinagbabasihan po namin.
Had it ever occurred to you na yung sinabi ni Mr. Bago at saka si Mr. Ang, nangyayari ngayon na hindi na i-report sa inyo, 20% lang yung, if I heard Mr. Bago right a while ago, 20% lang yung nai-remit o nai-report po sa inyo. Hindi po kayo nakapag-isip na gano'n na pwedeng mangyari yun such that hindi na po kayo naglagay ng check and balance mechanism ninyo?
Your Honor, pabati lang. Ang papareho na sinabi.
Please respond and after that, Mr. Ang.
Sir, basta sir, ang basis ko lang po sir, yung sinasubmit nilang report sa amin sir.
Yun lang, and you have not established any means na yung 41% to 41.2% na ibibigay doon sa mga nananalo. Dahil napakalaki ito na playing ground ng isang AAC eh. Pwedeng siguro yung nasa papel ibibigay kung nanalo. Pero yung other side of it na hindi yung authorized receipt ang kagaya ng pinakita ni Mr. Bago, mas malaking portion yun, 80% sabi nga niya eh. So, napakalaking playing ground itong 41.2% if you do not establish any check and balance. Tama po ba?
Opo sir.
Yes, pero wala po kayong ginawa.
Sir, wala po. Sir, actually sir, kasi yung sinasubmit nilang report sa amin, binibigay ko rin naman po sir sa COA. And sa accounting po namin, nire-require po nila yun.
You are the head of the SMC, right?
SMG sir. Opo.
Yes. And pursuant to your unapproved IRR, kayo po ang may function na oversee ng operations ng STL. Tama?
Opo.
So, kasama po sa function ninyo na tignan na yung operation ng STL ma-achieve yung inyong objective.
Opo sir.
Oh, pero sa nakikita ko, maaaring niloloko na po kayo ng mga AACs, hindi pa rin nyo na-achieve yung inyong goal. Kasi wala kayong ang monitoring check and balance ito eh. Itong 41.2%. Wala.
Sir,
Kasi tingnan mo yung pre-present na ebidensya ni Congressman Espino at saka Congressman Villahuerte. Mga papelitos na nga ng wetting yun eh. Nalalagay doon. At sinabi ni Mr. Bago na 80% yung napupunta doon, 20% lang yung nire-report sa inyo. And yet, wala akong nakikita na that's why I want to see your submitted IRR kung meron ng mechanism para dito. So I don't think you have one. Pangalawa, doon sa charity fund, 30% of net sales, meron pong 6.5% para po doon sa mga government offices. Tama? What is the basis of this? When in fact it is for charity fund. Magbibigay ba ng charity yung Congressional District, yung Philippine National Police? Kasi, I have to admit, Mr. Chair, that I received one check from Pcso, which I have returned simply because I do not know how to liquidate it.
Because there's no district treasurer. There's only municipal treasurer, provincial treasurer, and the finance center of the PNP. But there's no such thing as a district treasurer. Wala namang designated treasurer ng Congress eh, ng Congressional District. Tama po ba? O, paano niya katatanggapin niya? Paano yung liquidate? Sasama pa siya pagsabit sa inyo.
true, Mr. Chair.
You know, it seems that kayo, Ms. Gabuyo, parang you're simply mechanical, ano? Wala kang effort, wala kang initiative. Parang sinusunod mo na lang kung ano na lang yung dumating, sige. Kung ano sabihin ng AAC, sige, sunod. Kung ano sabihin ng kung i-deklara, sige, sunod. Why is that? Wala na kayong sariling initiative, wala na sariling palo. Parang na kayong robot, di ba?
Sir, we discuss issues and concern po in the SMG. But kami po, nagre-recommend lang po kami sa board, sir. Sir, hindi po kasi kami yung final po lagi.
I know, but the power ng Pcso, much of the authority, nasa yung dalawa ni GM Balutan, we all know that. Maski hindi kami taga Pcso, alam namin na ang power dyan, nasa GM.
Opo.
Wala nga sa chairman eh. Di ba?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Sir, ini-implement lang po namin, sir, yung lahat po ng
Nang
rules and
sinasabi ng board.
Opo.
O, di binalik mo rin doon sa...
Mr. Chair, can I say something? Yung regarding, Mr. Chair, dun sa issue na ni-raise ni Congressman Espino, no, sa Pangasinan, na similar to Kamsur, ito po, Papelitos. Nandito ang COA. Nakalagay po dun sa IRR, dapat better instrument eh. Is this a better instrument? COA approved ba to? Well, number one, this is not a Pcso approved. The more reason, this is not COA approved. What's the opinion of COA about this? Because this is happening probably in a lot of areas. This is how can we monitor the right sales, the documentary stock based on these papelitos?
Your Honor, the first time that we audited this STL operation, yan yung agad yung ang una naming napansin. How can we be assured that the reports being submitted by the AACs are the correct revenues earned by each of them?
So ma'am, binigay nyo na nabigyan nyo na ng observation?
No, not yet. We're still ongoing pa yung aming
Pero
audit
ma'am,
ng
it has been,
STL.
the STL has been going on since January last year. It's incumbent upon you. Dapat nagkaroon na kayo ng year-end report man lang regarding this. Because we do not subscribe to the statements of AGM Gabuyo na palaging board, where it's part of your mandate as head of the SMG, na hindi na dapat manggaling kay Congressman Espino sa amin na meron mga ganitong anomalya. Hindi ba dapat kayo na nagsasubmit na nito? Dapat initiative, trabaho nyo po to. Di ba ho, AGM, can you answer that, Mr. Chair? May we ask her to answer?
Correct po, sir.
So, aside from Pangasinan, Camarines Sur, ano pa ba ang mga probinsya na gumagamit nito, papelitos?
Sir, lahat po sila gumagamit po, sir, ng...
So then that's a problem because, you know, we cannot monitor sales. This is not a better instrument. This is not accountable form. Then lumalabas talaga na, well, the continued operation of STL is weteng, illegal gambling, niloloko po ang gobyerno po. So malinaw na malinaw po kasi let's say na merong honest na AAC, but once you allow them to use forms like this, there's a lot of leg room para mandaya po sila eh. 'Di ba po? Yung sinabi po kanina, bakit ang loto na ayos nyo naman? Bakit hindi nyo gayahin yung sistema ng loto na authorized areas, then yung form, accountable form, may watermark, then yung issue dun sa STL na bahay-bahay, may technology naman rin. Sinabi ko kanina, smartphone, wireless printer. Bakit hindi nyo po gawin yun? Kasi kung ginagawa natin gagawin nyo yung IRR na sabi nyo nag-submit na kayo sa Office of the President, with all these issues being raised in this hearing and the congressional hearings, dapat by now, alam na nyo na yung mali. Hindi po tama yung sagot ng ninyo, Mr. Chair, na sagot nila na pinag-aaralan, ongoing. Siguro by now, we already know the problem, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
I believe Congressman Acop still has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to continue with the allocation of the revenues. Kasi po nakalagay dito, city, municipality, congressional district, provincial government, Philippine National Police. Starting from their national headquarters to the CIDG provincial. Meron pong porsyento. But yung tanong kanina ni Ms. Sandra Cam, yung pong bakit i-charge yung 10% gross sales documentary stamp tax sa charity. Yun po ang kwan. Was there a board resolution to this effect?
Not during our time.
Why don't you find out kung merong board resolution?
Yes, sir. There's a board resolution to that effect, sir.
Sumagot? Tatanong ka kanina ni Congressman Akop, hindi ka sumasagot. Ngayong hinahanap namin yung board resolution, saka naman sasagot.
Sorry po, sir.
If ever there is a board resolution, may ano, since you implement the board resolution, tama po, di po ba? Kayo ni General Balutan, you implement the resolutions of the board. Tama po.
Tama po.
Pwede ko bang malaman sa inyo, dahil wala po si General Balutan, ano yung sabi mo, Chairman Pinili, nag-escape and evasion? Ha? Escape and evasion. Yun ang terminology natin, yung umiiwas, di ba? Escape and evasion. Oh, yung ngiti mo, iba eh. Di ba, Madam Gabuyo? Dapat binasa mo yung resolution na yun bago mo i-implementa.
Opo, sir.
Yes. Ano ang dahilan ng board? Bakit i-greenat nila ito? Pwede ko po bang malaman? Dahil ito, napakalaking bawas doon sa charity fund. So, there must be an overriding reason why the board approved that the 10% documentary stamp tax be charged to the charity fund, not elsewhere. Pwede ko po bang malaman?
Sir, I think meron po yatang parang opinion from no, it's an OP discussion po noon na sir, parang I'm not that sir, sa legal po yata sir yung
Mr. Chair, I asked this during the congressional hearing. Why are you using payment for documentary stamp under the charity fund? Ang sabi po nyo, AGM Gabuyo, under oath, na meron kayong legal opinion. Ang sabi namin nung last hearing sa Congress, pahingi kami ng kopya. Ngayon, nandito na naman, tinatanong po ni Congressman Akop. And it seems that you're not sure. And yet, during the congressional hearing, you answered with confidence na meron kaming pangahawakan dyan. And in fact, when I asked you, saan mo kukunin yung 10% additional based on the train law, ang sabi mo kukunin mo sa sa charity fund.
Sir, correction lang po, at the time po sa Congress po, ang sumagot po nun is AGM Patsyag.
Attorney Siong,
Being the
can you
MSS
respond
po.
to the question of Congressman Akop? Is there such a legal opinion?
We were able to obtain a copy, but I haven't read it, sir. It appears that it was issued in 1995. Sir, it's minutes of meeting, April 27, 1995, Ipil Room. The attendees are Honorable Antonio Carpio, Presidential Legal Counsel, Honorable Manuel Morato, Chairman and Acting GM of Pcso, Mr. Jimmy Williams, AGM for Finance, Attorney George Manuel, Chief of Staff Pcso, Attorney Manicad, Corporate Board Secretary, Mr. Gregorio Vicente, Consultant Pcso, Ms. Nona Alapan, Corporate Auditor and Assistant Commissioner on Audit, April 27, 1995, sir. On the issue of documentary stamp tax, the first item taken up in the meeting is a documentary stamp tax on the sale of lotto tickets. After deliberation on the pertinent provisions in the above cited laws, Secretary Antonio Carpio agreed with Jimmy Williams.
Attorney Siong, excuse me. 1995, wala pang STL.
No, sir.
Yung pinag-uusapan dyan sa board resolution, loto.
Yes, sir.
Bakit extended sa STL yung board resolution, nagre-refer sa loto? Kayo na lang nag-interpret na po pwede extend sa STL, yung sa doc stamps?
Mr. Chair, if I may add, during the time of Chairman Maliksi then, there was an expose, I read in the papers, that they also used the charity fund for the documentary stamp tax due for payment by AACs. Ginamit the charity fund. Is COA, and are you familiar with that? Ginamit nyo based on that legal opinion na it does not apply? Binayaran nyo yung over 1 billion documentary stamp tax na dapat binayaran ng mga dating AAC. Are you familiar with that?
I was informed there's an ombudsman case, no, regarding the remarks, the statement made by Congressman Villaperte. Meron na file dyan. So, ano gagawin ng board ngayon? Will you correct this by another board resolution, or actually hindi naman talaga nagre-refer sa STL sa Lotto nung binasa ninyo, Lotto
Mr. Chair, may I point out, that's not a board resolution, that's just a minutes of a meeting. So that's not binding. So that's not binding per se. So even for Lotto per se, that's just a discussion, but it's not approved by the board during 1995. Is that correct, attorney?
Yes, it seems
So that's that is just a discussion. That is not a legally binding document. That is not a basis for PCSO then and until now to use charity fund to pay Lotto, and more specifically STL, documentary DSTs.
Yes, sir. I may be allowed to read the discussion, sir, so that we will all be informed of what transpired. Then AGM Jamie Williams maintains that the documentary stamp tax should be computed on gross sale, but the same should be taken out from the charity fund. According to him, the operating fund is not enough to shoulder the documentary stamp tax. He stressed that if the documentary stamp tax is to be shouldered by the operating fund and not the charity fund, the Lotto project would die. We should not kill the goose that lays the golden egg, he added. Attorney Manicad asserts a contrary opinion. He maintains that charging the documentary stamp tax to the charity fund is violative of the charter. The charter, according to him, is clear in saying that the charity cases involving health programs can be charged from the charity fund. Secretary Antonio Carpio agreed with Jimmy Williams. He said the documentary stamp tax would go to the national coffers. If anybody should complain, it should be the office of the president, because in effect, the office of the president would lose control over these funds. This is just placing one's money from one pocket to another. Besides, the BIR agreed with such formula. Eventually, a consensus was reached that the documentary stamp tax be charged from the charity fund.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
was that meeting or the decision of the meeting, was that, shall we say, affirmed by a board resolution?
We will check our records, sir. We just obtained a copy
Yeah.
of it.
Subsequently, there's an executive order issued to that effect, di ba?
Yes.
Wala ba dyan sa documents nyo? Executive Order number 357-A. Which, series of 1996, which approved the allocation of a 5% share for local government units from the Lotto Charity Fund. Anyway, it also includes the issue of Doc-Sangs, di ba? Tama rito. Kasama sa decision. Ano ba? Wala.
That executive order, sir, refers to the share of local government units in the sales.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Congressman Apo.
Even if that is so, these pronouncements refer to Lotto. STL was never existent then. And therefore, how can the lawyers of, Pcso, use this decision for STL? Ano po yung legal basis why you can use yung pronouncement sa Lotto sa STL? Ano po legal basis? That's another legal issue, di ba, Attorney Suntay? Yeah.
Your Honors, could only assume that because it's part of the mandate of the Pcso to run and regulate games of chance like Lotto and STL, they applied the similar the same ruling, considering that it's the same they're the same gaming. Well, while it's a different gaming platform, it's
Abogado ka nga, Attorney.
Mabuti pa siguro, Attorney Suntay, sinabi mo na lang na hindi po pwede eh. Dahil iba po yata yung pinag-aralan o itinuro ng mga professor ko o kaya tulog ako nung ako'y nag-aaral ng law. Ganun po yun. Hindi po ba? You're putting a mango and a santol together na eh. So, anyway, let's leave that, Mr. Chair. So that leaves us 12.9%. Now, in the hearings insofar as bills wherein funds will be taken from the Pcso, matanong ko nga po kayo, nagsasubmit ba kayo ng inyong ng inyong position paper sa Congress, both in the Senate and the House? Kung merong bills na nagsasabi na the funds will be taken from the funds of the Pcso, kayo po ba ay sumisipot doon sa mga hearings para sabihin ninyo yung position paper?
Natanong lang, simple, nakapagsabit ba kayo ng position paper ninyo sa Senate or sa lower house? Meron ba?
Yes, sir, we submit our
Hawak ko nga eh. Tataka ko, hindi alam ng board eh.
Bago lang naman kami si Sir kasi.
So, Attorney Insyong, what you are telling this committee is that lahat po ng bills na ang pondo ay mga galing sa PCSO, nag-submit po kayo ng inyong position paper. I have been a representative for, since 2010. Hindi ko po kayo nakikita doon sa Committee on Appropriations at saka doon sa mga kwan na nag-a-appeal kayo para objectan yung pagkuha ng pondo, paggamit ng pondo nyo ng mga bills na pinapasa ng Kongreso. Kasi nagrereklamo na kayo ngayon na depleted na yung inyong charity fund because of the laws passed by Congress. Kami ngayon na nasisisi. But may I ask, kayo po ba ay sumisipot doon para mag-object vehemently para magamit po yung PCSO funds?
Yes, sir, we attend, we submit our position papers and attend the committee hearings. Those that were referred to the legal department, we prepare the position papers. Sometimes those, sir, it's not the legal department who represents PCSO, but other concerned departments. So sometimes it's also our charity sector who attends the meetings. And that's it.
We'll take your answer as it is. Dito po sa 12.9%, dito ba kinukuha yung pambili ng ambulansya? Wala pong makasagot kung...
Your Honor, ako na po sasagot.
Sir, our AGM for charity will answer.
Ano?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. To answer the question of Honorable Ako, the budget for the ambulance donation program is being taken from the lump charity fund. So the proceeds of the different programs, the Lotto, the STL, the sweepstakes, after deducting the prescribed, after establishing the net bill and the distribution scheme for the prize fund, the charity, and the operating, it is now being lumped together in the general charity fund. So that's where we prepare our budget for the ambulance, sir. Thank you.
So galing po sa lahat ng games na ginagawa ng PCSO. Tama po. Now, matanong ko po kayo, if we, or if PCSO would fund all the laws passed by Congress, na magagaling po sa inyo yung pondo, ilan po kaya matitira doon sa IMAP ninyo program?
Mr. Chairman, currently, the 30% allocation under the charity fund, 40% of that goes to our mandatory contribution. That's why, as mentioned by our legal officer a while ago, we do refer our position paper. When we submit our position, if we are asked, we always tell them that there are pre-existing programs that we already are implementing. Maybe what we can do is harmonize that with what we have in order to save our resources. So that has been the position of the charity sector, sir. Thank you.
Am I made to believe na lahat po nung naipasa na batas na pupundohan po ninyo?
Yes, supposedly. Because at the end of the day, if the bill becomes a law and Pcso is mandated, that's why it's called mandatory contribution. But Pcso is trying its best to meaning address and comply with those mandatory contributions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor. Yes, in regards to the question of Congressman Acop earlier, yung basis ho nung doc stamp tax, I believe it's under Section 190 of the National Internal Revenue Code, which states Section 2 of as amended by Section 2 of Executive Order number 194 series of 1987 is hereby further amended to read as follows. Section 190, stamp tax on Hayalay horse race tickets, lotto, or other authorized number games on Hayalay horse race tickets, lotto, or other authorized numbers game shall be collected a documentary stamp tax. Sir, nasa National Internal Revenue Code.
Kokolekta ng documentary stamp tax.
Opo.
Sinabi ba na sa charity fund kukunin?
Hindi. So it was placed similarly, considering that, di ba pag, if there is an enumeration.
So, prospective yung application?
Yes, sir, unless it is repealed or amended.
Kasi, Attorney Sontay, sabi mo, wala na mapagkukunan na iba. Di po ba kaya sa charity?
Sir, hindi ko naman ho sinabi. I'm just saying yung basis siguro nung previous action ng administration ng Pcso. As I mentioned, I've been barely here for 7 weeks and we've tried as much as possible to correct the previous mistakes. In fact, just recently, we have opened ourselves to the risk of being cited for contempt because of a pending case in which an RTC of Makati issued an injunction forcing the Pcso to buy paper and at an onerous price.
Alam mo, Attorney, during the time of General Lacson as the Chief Philippine National Police, ako po yung controller, ako po yung gumagawa ng budget eh. Pwede naman nilagay nyo yung documentary stamp tax under gross sales and retail receipts eh. Kaagad. Di po ba?
As I mentioned, Congressman,
kasi finance man
Your
ako
Honor,
dati.
wala ho ako doon and I could only surmise.
Bakit yung mandate pa ninyo, ang binawasan ninyo? Doon po nyo chinarge yung documentary stamp tax when in fact, you could have included there as number 2 under gross sales and retail receipts, printing cost at saka documentary stamp tax. Para hindi na maapektuhan yung pagsilbi ninyo doon sa masa. Yes.
Yes, sir. I could only surmise or based on dun sa statement nga ng former AGM, Jimmy Williams, when he said that documentary stamp tax should be computed on gross sales, but the same should be taken out from the charity fund. According to him, the operating fund, which is 15%, is not enough to shoulder the doc stamp. Siguro, I'm not justifying the action, sir. I'm just stating siguro the basis of what they did.
Iba na po yung sitwasyon ng Pcso noong 1996. Iba na po ang sitwasyon ng Pcso ngayong 2018. You know, I also heard a contrary opinion, and I think it would be better if we adopt the contrary opinion insofar as that discussion
Yes,
is
sir.
concerned. Yes.
There was a contrary opinion. However, Secretary Carpio concurred with the first initial opinion, sir.
Well, yung ano kasi yung basis to charge meron sa doon sa Internal Revenue Code. But yung basis to charge, yun ang kina-question ni Congressman Acop. But moving forward, ang bigger problem na hindi pa nyo sinasagot hanggang ngayon, yung issue I raised earlier, saan nyo kukunin yung additional 10% based on the train law? Because there's a BIR revenue regulation issued, Revenue Regulations number 4-2018, already charging 20 centavos per peso dun sa tickets High Alay Lotto. So ang tanong ko, I'm sure diniscuss yun na to, saan nyo i-charge yan? Kasi yung when we had the congressional hearing, ang sabi sa Congressional Charity Fund, that yun na nga saan?
Yes, sir. During the last board meeting, we also tackled this dahil sa laki ng impact na magiging additional. Napag-usapan rin different formulas at kung saan pagkukunan ito. It was discussed that it would be shared from the three. These were part of the suggestion na paghahati-hatiin coming from the administration fund or operation fund dun sa prices and then sa charity fund. Then it was also suggested that what we could do to cushion the effect is increase the price of ticket by 2 pesos. That way, it would, yung increase nung additional 10% would be minimal in its effect.
Hindi kasi while you are thinking of a solution to that, the operators are currently operating on the old formula. While you are mandated to pay the new tax train law, the AACs are operating on the revenue allocation based on the old formula. So there's a legal problem there, and you cannot just say take out from the charity prize fund. Kasi legally, there is a computation in the prize fund. Yung World Lottery Association rules, meron yung RTP na tinatawag. Are you familiar with the RTP?
No, not really.
Then you should, because you're a director of Pcso. Ang RTP is what you call return to player. When you devise a game, there is an RTP ruling. Are you a member of the World Lottery Association?
Me personally, sir?
No, Pcso.
Yes, it is.
Yes, then you should follow that rule on RTP. Responsible gaming mandates that there should be RTP. Return to player. Ngayon, kung 2-ball, 3-ball, iba ang RTP niyan. And you cannot just say, tanggalin mo sa prize. Kasi hihina ang income niya kasi sabihin ng tao, yung chances of winning maliles. And you cannot say, yung bet, i-increase to 2 pesos because the law states for every peso. So whether you increase it to 2 to 3 pesos, it's still 20%. So I think, Mr. Chair, this is a bigger problem that they have to resolve. While there is a new train law and revenue regulation, up to now, while the AACs are operating on the old revenue, hindi pa nila na-resolve. You have to resolve this as soon as possible.
Yes, sir. Yun nga yung ginagawa namin, Mr. Chairman, through you, because the annual budget of the Pcso was passed last year. It was passed prior to the passage of the new train law. So it was not taken into consideration. That's why...
Mr. Chair, may I correct? The payment of the DST should not be... The budget of the Pcso has no connection whatsoever. The DST is based on sales.
Hindi, kaya nga ho. Pero yung DST ho, kukunin ho, kagaya pag sinabi natin, hindi, kunin nyo sa operation cost. Nagawa na yung sa operation. So definitely, it will have effect on the appropriations or allocations of the funding. Kasi
I beg to disagree, Mr. Chair, kasi the basis of the DST, kung merong BIR dito, is based on sale.
Yes, but
kaya nga documentary stamp tax.
Anyway,
meaning each document should be charged.
Before we resolve the issue, may we hear from the mayors present? Yung representatives ng mga local government units. Ano bang thoughts nyo rin sa mga nangyayaring discussion?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman. I'm Vice Mayor Julia Resuello, former City Mayor of San Carlos City, and now the Regional Chairman of the Vice Mayors League of the Philippines, Region 1 Chapter po. I'd just like to be clarified po sana, kasi po, kanina po, nakikinig ako sa mga usapan natin, no? Napakarami pong nababanggit. Pero ngayon po, given the chance kaming mga nasa baba as local officials, no? We were given a chance to speak para po naman malaman namin kung ano po bang role ng LGU dito po sa Pcso. Kasi parang wala na po kaming role dito. Parang napabaliwala po yung karapatan ng mga elected officials, especially the local chief executive, the presiding officer as the vice mayor and the council. Unang-una po sa lahat, tungkol po sa business permits, no, na kung saan ito nga po ay I was there doon po sa Congress when they had a meeting, hearing po, na tinanong ko rin po pero I was not answered by the general manager with regards to that. And we were praying na sana po mabigyan po kami ng kasagutan. Dahil parang wala na pong silbi o wala na pong karapatan ng mga lokalidad with regards to the STL sapagkat ang sabi po ng mga AACs sa amin, no, wala daw pong karapatang pahintuin or kahit kumuha ng business permit ng mga AACs sa mga lokalidad, where in fact, alam naman po natin na lahat po ng nagnenegosyo, kumikita sa isang lokalidad, kailangan po dumaan sa proseso ng pag-apply ng business permit.
Vice, I've discussed that matter with my legislative staff. We will seriously consider that proposal. Ano?
Yes, Your Honor.
After all, they're earning revenues, they're earning income within your respective localities, di ba?
Yes,
And
yes,
it was
Mr. Chairman.
That you require them to secure business permit. And
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
acknowledges the presence of the majority leader, Senator Tito Soto. Mayor Zablan, Santa Barbara. Ikaw ba yung tumalo sa klasiko doon?
Yes, sir. Ako po yung tumalo kay General Velasco. Thank you po. Good afternoon. I'm Mayor Carlito Saplan of Municipality of Santa Barbara, a former President of the Pangasinan Mayor's League, and my 6 terms. Mr. Chairman, ang dahilan po kaya kami nandito, yun lang po ang concern namin ng mga mayors. Totoo po yung sinabi ni Vice Mayor Rosuelio na parang baliwala na po kami doon. Kasi nga po, pumasok po itong speed gaming ng STL na wala na po silang consultation sa amin. Ang napakasakit po, ang sinasabi po nila na hindi na raw po kailangan kumuha ng permits kasi ang permits daw nila is national. Kaya hindi na raw kailangan kumuha ng permit. Ang sabi ko nga sa kanila nung pumasok sila doon, kung yung sari-sari store nga, kumukuha ng permits. Tapos ang masakit pa sa sinasabi nila, may umiikot na tao nila, na kung pahihintuin daw namin is ma-ombudsman kami. How true? Bakit naman ganun? Na tinatakot pa kami. Tapos, pangalawa po, pati yung mga kabo nagko-complain. Kasi originally, ang binibigay is 7%. Ngayon, 5% na lang po ang binibigay. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Binibigay kanino yung 5%?
Sa mga kabo po.
Sa mga kabo. Yung
Tapos, pangatlo po, ang sabi po nila, kaya po na legal na po, mayroon pong 3% na ibibigay po sa LGU. Pero sa hanggang ngayon po, ni single centavo po, wala pong kami natatanggap.
If I may add, Mr. Chairman, yung 3% po kasi na pinag-uusapan, it's been going around since last year po. No, na kung saan hinahanap po namin, we would like to ask, with your indulgence, sir, Mr. Chairman, the Pcso, sino po ba ang dapat mag-remit niyan? Is it the AACs or is it the Pcso? Kasi po, magulo pa rin po sa amin sa baba no? Magulo po sa amin sa baba. Nakalagay po dun kanina sa kanina na yung local government, yung municipality or city, meron pong 3%. So simula po last year hanggang ngayon po, wala pa ho, hindi ho malinaw sa amin kung sino yung magbibigay o magre-remit niyan. Is it the AACs or Pcso?
Question?
Yes, sir. It's Pcso who will give the share to the local government units.
Pero how come? Isang taon na raw, wala sila natatanggap na share. Saan na pupunta ngayon yun? PNP lang yata binibigyan nyo eh. How about the provincial government? They tanggap na share?
Actually, sir, pati congressman binibigyan pero nakalagay sa pangalan namin, sinusuri namin. Kami na congressman ako dahil wala naman kaming resibong pero sa probinsya, sir, nagbibigay yata sila diretso sa treasury.
Yeah, sa treasury.
Pero ang problema, sir, dito, sino bang nagko-compute kung magkano 3%? Sino nakakaalam nun? Yung AAC lang. Kung yung PMR nga nila, dinadaya nila, yung PAC. Kaya, sir, ito, yung naging problema, sir, kaya pwede doon sa mga babalang kasi natin batas, i-involve talaga natin sila local government. Kaya sila makatulong malaki sa command and control nito, pati sa accounting nito.
Donations?
Yes, sir. It is Pcso, sir, who computes the branch operations sector based on the gross sales of the SCLEACs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kung yung mga resibo nga gano'n, papilito lang eh. Paano yung makukompute nyo kung magkano talagang koleksyon? Eh, samantalang pambukis na yun eh. Ang nagbubukis mismo, yung mga mismong iisi eh. Di ba? Hindi actually, sabi nila nagbubukis yung iba. Actually, sila mismo nagbubukis. Yung iba na ano. Yung papilitong yung bukis yun eh. Para sa bukis yun. Para kita nila nung iisi, sarili nila yun. Hindi nila pinapasok sa ano. Hindi nila pinapasok sa koleksyon nila para sa Pcso. Ganun lang simple. So, wala sila magkukompute ngayon ng 3% nila sa local
Kaya
government.
napansin ko na kailang hearings na, no? The more we move on, it seems that we're moving backwards because there's so many issues, no? We're drowned out. Lunod tayo sa mga issues na hindi natin ma-resolve. And kanina, si Mr. Ang was proposing something, pero hindi naman concrete eh. Can you propose something concrete as a solution to all these problems?
Yes, Your Honor, sabi ko nga, maski pa ulit-ulit, hindi na masosolve talaga yan ngayon. Okay?
That ang problem is what are the concrete solutions para ma-solve itong problema?
Ang suggestion ko dyan, talagang mag-operate talaga ang gobyerno na. Pero kailangan, ang problema kasi rito sa larong to, with risk. So, kailangan may formula dyan, which is nasa isip ko, kailangan magkausap kami ng gobyerno na maayos kung paano kung gagawin. Kasi ang loto kasi, walang
But
talo.
we're drafting a law eh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Pero pwedeng basta mag-usap kayo ng Pcso nang hindi namin na-incorporate sa bill.
Yes, Your Honor. Kailangan mo
This
na...
is a public hearing and whatever you will discuss with Pcso should not be kept from the public because it's a public hearing.
No,
So we want to hear from you. Ano ba yung sinasabi mong concrete solution para ma-resolve yung issues ng remittances?
Yes. Ito pa. Ang kailangan lang po, ganito. Sasayin ko lang. Yung sa, ulit ko, yung sa STL, sa sweepstake kasi, tsaka sa loto, wala nga kasi problema dahil lahat ng total sales, ito kasi totoong income lang yan eh. Yung tinatanong ni Kong kanina, ano ba ang income talaga ng Pcso sa STL? Ang income nyo ron is 12.9 lang, wala nang iba. Doon na kinukuha po yung mga pang-hospital, yung pang-ambulansya, wala na kayong ibang income kung hindi yung 12.9. Dating 7% yung ginawa yung 12.9. Tapos, yung sa loto naman, kung titignan nyo yung loto at sa sweepstake, ang totoong income nyo ron is 8 billion a year lang, tignan nyo. Yun ang net nyo, yun yung 30%. Na, yung iba kasi payout yun, saka expenses eh. Ngayon, ito po kasi ang risk niya, kaya tinitingnan na eh. Ano ang suggestion ko para pakinabangan ng gobyerno talaga lahat to? Hindi talaga pwede mag-operate ang gambling lord dito kasi Pcso talaga dapat mag-operate. Ngayon, kung ano yung ibang dapat pag-usapan, kailangan iupo muna. Tsaka ako sasabihin kung anong mga dapat pag-usapan, hindi pwede on air kasi magkakaroon pa ng pag-uusap, Your Honor. Siyempre, titignan pa yung legality. Pag-uusapan yung solusyon.
Dapat talaga tingnan yung legality.
Pero not on air.
Kasi itong kinakarap natin, kung itatago mo, hindi...
No, Your Honor, hindi ko tinatago. Kailangan muna, Your Honor, pag-usapan muna ng hindi ganito para isang declaration lang kung ano yung talagang legal. Kasi hindi po ako abogado para sabihin ko kagad kung ano nasa isip ko. Kukonsulta ko muna sa gobyerno, tama ba to? Plus COA, titimplahin. Pag nabuo yun, saka ipa-implement. Kasi kailangan ng government without risk. Ang problema sa laro to with risk kasi naka-fixed dividend. Ang loto kasi minus charity divided by how many tickets. Dito hindi naka-fix. Naka-fix dito na 8,000 per 10 pesos. So kung mag-ooperate Pcso, may risk yan, may formula, yun ay tuturo ko. Para makinabang ng gusto ko na yung tama. Kapara niya, ginagaranti ko, naghamon kasi si Balutan na sinabi niya na walang makakagawa nun. Umuuna nga ako. So, siguro mapakinggan din ng Presidente kung ano dapat. Tsaka nakakapagtaka rin po to. Si Balutan nga po, para makadagdag din sa pag-iisip natin, nung makita kami nung September 14, 2016, nakakapagtaka naman to si Balutan. Ang sabi niya sa akin, Mr. Ang, mabuti naman, dumating ka. Ito si Corpus, nakurap na ng kabila. So, ibig sabihin nun, against sa STL. Pero nakakapagtaka po nung maparalyze si Corpus siya ngayon, tigapagtanggol ng STL, bakit ganun? Di ba ba? Tapos, sinasabi rin po niya na matapang siya, marine siya, galing siya sa Iraq. Tapos kaya sinabi niya kay Congressman Espino, paano ko babanggayin ng mga gambling lord? Hindi naman, parang hindi ata nagtatama yun. So, makikita niyo yung corruption dito na siya na ang tigapagtanggol ngayon. So, yung tinatanong niyo po, Your Honor, na ibibigay ko po yun kung ano, isang pag-uusap, kung anong formula dyan sa isang meeting po na hindi na on-air na gano'n para mapag-usapan din kung ano pa ibang legality niya dahil hindi po ako abogado. Thank you po.
Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Chairman, hindi pa siya nag-take oath.
Yes, sir.
Sige, Comsec.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the Senate inquiry?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Aguilar, ikaw ang AAC sa Iloilo.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Senator Soto, and guest speakers and leadership of Pcso. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Aguilar. I'm the President and the Chief Operating Officer of Eagle Crest Gaming Holding Corporation. I think I am the same person being referred to by one of the director of Pcso in a very, yes ma'am, in a very sensitive and embarrassing accusation. Anyway, I applied for Pcso and submitted and complied with all the clearances and documents set by the leadership of the board of directors and the Pcso itself. When we were selected as the AAC for Iloilo Province, with the hopes that we will be the partner of the government for this business. We have no other intention but to run the STL business in the Iloilo Province in the most effective manner. I don't know, Madam Director Sandra Cam. In fact, when she said that I was trying to shake her hands, because I seen her in the television, and I know that she's part of the directorship of the Pcso, and it's just a customary for me to shake hands and introduce myself to any I think members of the board of directors or any leadership in Pcso, not for anything else. I just wanted to clarify that I was never involved in drug trade, nor my name was included in the in the list, just like what Ms. Director Sandra Cam has said. I was never in the drug list, sir. In fact, I was an immigrant of United Kingdom. I lived in the United Kingdom for the past 16 years, 18 years, 17 years now. So I don't know where those intelligence report is coming from. She's getting it. In fact, last Thursday, I just wanted to express my disappointment. Last Thursday, I even went to the office of Mrs. Sandra Cam, to the office of General Yes, I may be frequently going to the office of General Balutan, not because I'm forging a deal or anything. I'm just asking for a medical help that is being required to me by my province. Because sometimes the budget that's supposed to be given to the province run out because we only have like 300,000 pesos budgets every day. However, in order for me to cater for my to give something in return to my province, I go directly to Pcso and ask for more help with regards to the medical.
Sir, how well do you know GM Balutan?
Only when I applied for the Pcso, sir.
And yet, you frequent his office to lobby for some additional medical assistance for the province of Iloilo?
Because the person in charge, sir, in Pcso is there at the office of 9th floor, sir.
You continue.
Okay.
May nakuha ka ba? May
Sorry?
nakuha ka? Additional medical?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How much were you able to...
Sometimes they just call straight the patient, sir. Sometimes they gave like parang
Ito yung sa
depende sa
IMAC.
pangangailangan, sir, nung pasyente, sir.
How many times were you able to secure?
Maybe twice or thrice, sir.
Hindi ka pa nasisiro?
Meron
Kung
din, sir.
pa kami malimit pa zero dyan.
Marami, sir. Marami din. Siguro, sir, mga 30% out of 100.
Sige, continue.
Can I answer that, Mr. Chairman?
I came here to Senate by the invitation of the Honorable Chairman and his panel to address the issue of problem with the STL. I think the issue of accusations being thrown to me by Ms. Sandra Cam is unprofessional because as member of the board of directors, or if there is any problems with me as being the AAC of the Iloilo province, she could have called me privately or even called me at the board and asked me what's my involvement about the issues that she is throwing at me. And that gained the public highlights. I have family as well, sir. I have 4 children, and my children in London will not be happy about the accusation I'm receiving from this. So I think it's highly unfair that we, being the AAC, and we're here to talk about STL, and we're being accused of something that we didn't do.
Have you had previous experience in operating STL?
Illegal, sir. Because in the province of Iloilo before there was no STL, sir.
Hindi nga.
I was involved in number games, sir. Yeah.
What kind of, nung illegal pa?
No, wala pang legal, sir.
Kaya nga, nung illegal pa.
Yes, sir.
Ano yung operation mo noon?
1 to 43 numbers, sir.
Waiting, 1 to 43?
1 to 40, sir.
1 to 40. How can you compete with 1 to 37?
We have 2 numbers and 3 number combinations, sir.
3 numbers.
Just like what we are doing now.
So, dati kang illegal, pumasok ka sa legal.
You may say so, yes, sir.
Okay, sige, continue. Anything more to say?
Well, that's the only things that I have to say. I just wanted to clarify that maybe Ms. Sandra Cam is getting an information from people who are not happy with me, or some people who may have been part of the people who ambushed me last September 25. And also, I just wanted to make it clear, ma'am, I don't have any involvement on that, ma'am.
Sige, Sandra.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. I have a paper here. And subject, who is Sam Aguilar, is currently the one who supplied volume of illegal drugs in Panay and in Negros Island. Subject was a former employee of National Bilibid Prison on early 90s. He served as the secretary of retired General Vicente Vinarao, former director of NBP. During his Aguilar's stint at NBP, he had able to associate himself with the big-time drug personalities inside the Bilibid. Aguilar was able to amass huge sum of money from the drug lords inside the penitentiary and was really involved in illegal drug trade all over the country. Secretly, when General Vinarao retired from NBP, year after, Aguilar also goes out as employee of NBP and went abroad in London. Yun, totoo yun, na ang pamilya mo ay nasa London. Together with his families, and he stayed there for a while, but he still continues his illegal drug trade in the Philippines. In the year 2012, when he came back to the Philippines, he was able to associate himself secretly with the new big-time drug lords incarcerated inside NBP, such as namely Peter Ko and Peter Lim, and continued his discreet illegal drug trade. Activities since he has an access inside NBP, being a former employee of said institution, Aguilar, aside from his NBP drug group contact, is also connected with the North Cotabato drug groups in Mindanao. He took advantage of being a brother-in-law of Toto Magundanato, the governor of Maguindanao, for his younger sister is the second wife of the latter. Subject is also a member of Masonic organization, which he took advantage being a brother member of it, and aside from it, he is also an adopted honorary member of PNPA Class 1990. He joined those organizations for his own purpose and advantage, to strengthen his connection for his illegal activities. Aguilar has a canteen or kitchenette inside Camp Crame, Quezon City named Eagle Crest, which he purposely rented to be an instrument getting an association with PNP high-ranking officials of PNP National Headquarters, if given a chance. However, when President Duterte assumed his presidency and warned those drug lords publicly, Aguilar gave up his restaurant inside Camp Crame and sold it to a high-ranking retired PNP general. Since it came to his knowledge that he was included secretly in the HBT lists of the PNP on illegal drugs, for there were so many reports regarding his illegal drug distribution came into the attention of the PNP senior officers in Camp Crame. Subject has a penchant of name-dropping the names of PNP generals in his illegal activity. Without them knowing what he was doing or purpose, he has always pictures together with PNP high-ranking officers and men, and also people in the government holding key positions, and show them purposely to his friends and contacts just to let them know how well connected he is for a reason. Sometime in 2013, Aguilar goes to Iloilo City and met Melvin Boyet Odicta Sr. and negotiate the latter to supply him of illegal drugs. However, the negotiations was not go further for some personal reasons. However, in the late quarter of year 2014, Aguilar began to supply half of Odicta's demand of illegal drugs, and further, in the last quarter of the year 2015, Aguilar was able to take over the overall operations, operations. Presently, Manolito Sosano, take note of that name, Mr. Aguilar, is out on bail and cuddled by Sam Aguilar, and sometimes spotted together with the latter in Iloilo, and served as his driver bodyguard. Susano's live-in partner, Maria Victoria Laigon, also worked as Aguilar's trusted secretary.
Excuse me. What is the relevance ng mga revelations mo sa STL operation?
The relevance here is why GM Balutan had given this person a permit or a franchisee of the STL.
Pero again, si Ms. Gabuyo, sasabihin, board yung, di ba?
Sinungaling naman yan po, kaya nga dapat na contempt na yan. We should contempt her really, Mr. Chairman, kasi lahat na lang
Is there board resolution to cover the franchise or the license to operate?
Yes, we have a board resolution.
Apo. Okay.
Yan po ang rason, sir, kung bakit ko brinot up ito. Remember,
incidentally, I'm also the chairman of the Public Order and Dangerous Drugs. So, pwede mo i-take up na lang yan doon siguro.
I will po, sir. At ito rin lang, kasi magkaibigan sila ni GM Balutan. Nung wala pa po kami, lalo ako, ay palagi siyang nandoon, nakikipag-inuman kay General Balutan sa 9th floor after office hours. At huwag ka nang magsinungaling, Mr. Aguilar. Mag-ausap tayo. Remember that I was one of those na nakadakip kung saan si Kerwin Espinosa. And Kerwin is so alive in NBI, I can go there and get some, So, Mr. Aguilar, it's a slap on the face of our beloved President na siya ay kasama ni Odicta, ni Mabilog, at Sam Aguilar ng Iloilo Province. Tapos, pinapasok ng Balutan na maging franchisee sa Iloilo Province na ito dapat nag-counter-check muna siya. So, naawa ko sa ating Pangulo na na-blind siya dito. It's a slap on his face dahil ito, siya na mismo ang nagsabi na isa ka sa nasa narco list, tapos binigyan ka ngayon ng franchisee because of our friendship with General Balutan.
Anyway, sige.
Yun lang po.
Thank you very much, Congressman Villaperte.
Mr. Chair, kasi yung basic mandate po ng Pcso is really charity, but with all of this happening, napakaraming question. But since the COA is here, I would like to take the opportunity because while the issues raised by Congressman Ako, habang bumabawas po yung pondo sa charity, yung Pcso continues to spend, their funds with big Christmas parties, with unauthorized bonuses. The COA is here. Di ba merong COA report on the 500 million unauthorized bonuses given by the board to its employees? Is that...
Your Honor, that is prior years. I think that's 2010 na nagkaroon ng final decision this year.
So, I understand there was a 2016 COA report, Madam. 500 million, Madam. You're not updated.
Yeah.
500 million COA report on unauthorized bonuses.
Yes, Your Honor.
And prior to that, there was a pending over $1 billion already. And
Yes, Your Honor.
that already happened during the time of General Balutan and si Director. Maybe you can shed light. Because while nadideplete yung charity, nagpa-party po kayo ng mahal, then yung nagbibigay kayo ng unauthorized bonuses because this is in aid of legislation, no? Gusto lang namin sagutin niyo po yung issue na yan. Why did you authorize all these unauthorized bonuses and what are you doing to correct this?
November 16 na Christmas party.
Mr. Chair, yung bonus ba last year?
Hindi, 2016.
Oo. Kakaupo ko lang, Mr. Chair.
Hindi, wala siya.
November lang.
Hindi, ganito, just for the information of this committee, PCSO's unauthorized pay package in 2016 include 151 million in Christmas bonuses, 123.8 million in educational assistant bonuses, 71 million in grocery bonuses, 60.27 million in weekly draw allowances, 27.5 million in hazard pay, and 23.3 million in revenue performance incentive pay, which is illegal, and COA already raised the red flag.
Yes, Your Honor. Na-issuehan na ho yun ng notice of disallowance. They are currently on appeal.
But this is a big amount. But prior to this, I heard meron pa silang over $1 billion na disallowance. Is that correct?
Yes. There are series of disallowances, Your Honor. And the latest that had the final decision is on the allowances of the board, which was already decided upon by the commission proper.
And Mr. Chair, I would like to point out that when Director Balite said na bago lang siya, this happened during their time already because the President assumed July 1 of 2016. So he appointed the board. What I'm saying is, binigay itong bonus with people already in the board, not necessarily the directors, but General Balutan being there, former PCSO Chairman Corpus was there. And this is a red flag, Mr. Chair, because while we are trying to increase revenues through the train, we're trying to increase charity fund, medyo nawawala po itong issue na to na dapat ma-resolve po nila.
Mr. Chair, yung sinabi ni Director Balete, he assumed office November of 2016, kaya hindi po siya kasama doon. Oo. Pero doon sa Christmas party, if you will allow me later, ipapadala.
We may take it up now, no? Kasi kasama may resolution regarding that eh.
Okay.
So sige, if you have a presentation to make, do it now.
Before that, Mr. Chairman, before that, connected very much so that it could probably be a very good guide for the members of the board of PCSO later on, no? How many employees do you have in the PCSO?
According to them, it's 1,580 all over the Philippines.
All 1,580. And the Christmas party was for the 1,580.
That's what GM Balutan claimed. But I spoke to some employees sa mga probinsya, hindi naman sila pumunta dito.
So more or less around 1,400.
Let's say 1,000. Pero doon sa sinasabi niyang 6,000 plus lang ang gastos ng PCSO, 6 million, I'm sorry. Pag dinivide mo yon sa 1,500, 4,000 each.
All right, that's the point I just want to inform the body, and so that the members of the board will be guided in the future. The Senate has 1,500 employees. And during our Christmas party, we spent less than 2 million. We held it at PICC. And in your case, you had less than 1.5 and you spent 6 million.
That's what he said, but I was able to get a copy from, yun po, ano ko ngayon.
Alright, thank you. Anyway, for the record, masarap yung kinain ng mga empleyado ng Senado.
Ano po?
Happy sila, masaya, may mga raffle, kompleto. Pero maliit na yung budget.
Ito kami, alam mo naman, sa EDSA Shangri-La at sinasabi ni Gian Balutan na gusto niya lang lagyan ng mantika ang mga empleyado ng Pcso, which akala nitong si Balutan ay mga Marines ang kasama niya, mga empleyado ng Pcso, mga professionals ho yan.
Anyway, for the guidance also of the Commission on Audit. Thank you.
Okay. Itong I wrote a letter to the manager of the Treasury Department, si Ms. Asuit, but it took her almost 10 days. Kung hindi pa ako nag-request, sir, sa iyo na isubpina, hindi ako bigyan kaagad. Binigay ito sa akin kahapon lang, nung Friday. Anyway, mayroon po ng discrepancy dito from the Treasury. From the Treasury, ang labas na cash advances is 10,686,000. Sa accounting and budget. Sa accounting and budget, lumalabas na ang actual expenses nila is 6.474778.61 million lang. Isa lang pong may ipapakita lang ako tungkol doon sa Shangri-La Hotel. Okay. Yung sa Shangri-La Hotel, ang cash advance lang na binigay ng Treasury is 2,075,000. With check number po yan. Ang proposed budget is 3,302,000. Ngayon, yung actual expenses na nandito po galing sa accounting and budget ay 3.262 million. So, unutilized po yung 39,441.59. At yung 1,227,000, yun ang discrepancy. Saan kasi ang binigay lang po ng Treasury is one check of 2,075,000. But according to the details of actual expenses, it's shown 3,262,000. So mayroon po tayo ng difference na 1 million, magkano na yan? Unutilized is 39,441.59 at saka yung additional for venue 1,227,000. So dito pa lang po, sir, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang ipakita na isa lang ito ng mga discrepancy natin. Iba na yung sinasabi ng Treasury, iba naman ang sinasabi ng Accounting and Budget Department. I've heard, kasi insiders, hindi ko naman sila mga kilala, silang nagbibigay ng mga tips sa akin na nag-hire pa ang Pcso ng 2 accountant para malinis ang presentation nila. Pero kahit anong linis, lumalabas din, sir. Kasi, alam mo, kung nagsisinungaling ka, lalabas talaga ang kasinungalingan mo. Pero kung totoo ang sinasabi mo, kahit balibalik ta rin ka pa, totoo. So, dito pa lang po, makikita natin ang laki ng diferensya. Saan ngayon, doon lang sa 6.474, saan ngayon ang mahigit na ang unutilized is 3 million, ang discrepancy is 404,000. Saan yung sobra nito na unutilized na mahigit 3 million? Saan ito? Ibinalik nyo ba sa treasury ito or napapunta sa ibang kamay? O sino ang pwedeng sumagot dito?
Wala bang oversight authority yung board to look into this issue?
This issue, yes sir, meron.
So, up to now, hindi nyo pa na-resolve itong issue na ito, yung Christmas party ng board? Why?
Sa totoo lang, hindi naman yan, ang dami pong nalalagay na agenda na hindi naman naka-agenda, sinisingit ko lang, kagaya nung sa TMA, na ano kami doon, ng 707 million na garnish kami. Eh syempre, tanga-tanga man kami dahil baguhan kami. Ano ba yan? Oh, walang nag-report sa amin noon. Pangalawa, itong sa Christmas party, which up to now, ano nang Pebrero, December ito nangyari. Hanggang ngayon, walang maibigay sa amin na papel. Nung humihingi ako ng papel, ganun din.
I mean, the board. Can the board not compel GM Balutan to submit all the pertinent documents?
Ay sir, hari yan ng Pcso. Hindi ka pwedeng humingi. Pag nagsulat ka sa mga AGMs, ipapadala muna, dadaan muna sa kanyang kamay. Wala na rin, parang wala na rin ang aming chairman.
Ano? Ewan ko, paano kayo?
Mr. Chair, who is the board secretary?
We have new board secretary.
New. Hindi,
New
sino
one.
yung dati?
Si Merdado, yung sino? Midado. Aywan ko kung saan po siya.
The new secretary is, how long has he been with the Pcso board?
Kasabay po siya nung assumption ni Chairman Pinili. Less than a month. Ang dami po talaga ng
Yung
lupos
liquidation, anong balita nyo sa
Ito
na-liquidate naman ng GM ito?
Ito po Friday lang ito binigay sa akin. 15 days na nakatenga sa opisina ni GM Balutan. So kung wala kang tinatago, bakit hindi mo ibigay kagad? Bakit you have to hire another 2 additional accountants para lang madoktoran nyo lahat ito na mga dito, mga...
Your Honor, I believe yung sa accounting department could best answer this because they should have in their possession
sa
all the
accounting. Paano liquidation ito?
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes, please.
All the documents pertaining to all of this were just submitted to us on February 5 and we're starting with our audit.
So, it was 7 days ago.
Yeah, it's February 5. But then there are still unsubmitted 1, 2, 3, 5 cash advances relating to this Christmas party.
Accounting?
I concur.
Can you submit to the committee all the amount?
The amount?
Of the unsubmitted.
Yung unsubmitted. The unsubmitted cash advances as of now is about yung sectoral presentation, cash advance for sectoral presentation amounting to 55,000. Then the cash advance for food, for head office at 500 per person, 658,000, magkano amount? 292,000. Then for physical arrangements of 415,000. Christmas treat for Pcso kids, 600,000. Then purchase of Christmas giveaways, 499,000. So those were unsubmitted as of now.
Mr. Chair.
Ano total nun, ma'am? Yung total amount.
The unsubmitted, asan ba dito? Hindi. Sorry, Your Honor, it was not added. Total kasi lahat lang ng cash advances relating to Christmas parties, 8.2 million.
8.2 ang total.
Sir.
Mr. Chair, can I ask the COA, kasama na ba dyan yung inadmit ni General Balutan in record, yung binigay niya sa pare na was already admitted by COA is illegal?
Perhaps, Your Honor, because it was lumped in as one cash advance, one general expenses. We will look into the details of the expenses.
But confirm, no, that is not that's an illegal disbursement, di ba? You cannot, due to the separation of church and state, you cannot use government funds to pay church activities.
If it was given to the
It was
church,
admitted under oath
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Accounting.
And, Mr. Chair, it's also here, Thanksgiving Mass, stipend for officiating priest is 10,000. Nagsinungaling na naman sila dito dahil inamin nga na 15 million ang binigay niya. Pero
10,000, I'm sorry, 10,000. So, ito po, ma'am, galing po ito na report kay Ms. Alegria Asuit, yung manager ng Treasury Department, na ang na-liquidate nila at liquidation and process ay amounting to 10,686.
Accounting, can we hear from you?
Good afternoon po, Your Honor. All the Christmas celebration expenses for 2017 were already passed sa accounting department and they were already submitted to the COA as of February 3.
Pero may mga unsubmitted documents daw.
Dalawa pa po ang hindi namin na ipapaliquidate, and that is for the Christmas children's party. Kasi may mga kulang na documents pa po na hindi nang
Pwede
naisasubmit
nyo
ng branch
i-furnish yung
offices.
committee rin? Na
Yes,
complete,
Your Honor.
set
Opo.
ng mga documents.
Sir, according to Mr.
Wait,
Sweet,
Sandra.
I'm sorry.
Congressman Ako.
May I know from the accounting whether these expenses were authorized through a board resolution?
Yes, Your Honor. Meron po siyang board resolution.
Yung 10.6?
Opo, meron po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, yung liquidation and process ay tatlo ito. Corazon Cedro, Sectoral Presentation Contest, Incidental Expenses, which is 94,000. 30,000 sa Music Ministry, Incidental Expenses kay Lorena Canano. And the 600,000, Analisa Casantos yung nag-receive nito, Children's Christmas Party. Yan lang po ang on process.
Senator Soto is recognized. Kasi alam nyo, we received a memo from the Senate President na all committee hearings should be done by 2 o'clock because we have a 3 o'clock session, regular session. And dito may majority leader who is the chairman of the Committee on Rules. So I will recognize him to ask his questions.
And anyway, malinaw naman siguro na, Mr. Chair, yung mga submissions nila about the Christmas party. Let me go directly to the issues connected with the Pcso and the bill that is being heard by the committee. Kasi in the proposed bill, the disbursement of charity fund must be made to specific agencies only. No, nililimitahan na dito sa proposal na to. Gusto kong malaman ko ano sasabihin ng Pcso rito. PhilHealth, DOH, DSWD, and the Philippine Council for Health, Research and Development. Currently, aside from this, ano ba yung mga agencies na tumatanggap?
Your Honor,
Yes.
there are 18 other agency through RA 7722, the Commission on Higher Education, through RA 9165, the Dangerous Drug Board, through RA 6847, the Philippine Sports Commission, through RA 8175, the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation.
Ito, just to abbreviate the proceedings, Attorney Suntay, submit to us that copy. Now, the new bill, the bill that we're discussing, limits it already. So we want your position on this. No?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The other thing is that also in the bill, there is the power granted to Pcso, and it is remaining in the bill, and this is to engage in investments, programs, projects, and activities for continuing sources of funds. Ano ba ang percentage of Pcso income comes from investments, programs, projects, and activities?
Wala.
Sino sa Pcso pwede sumagot nun?
Yes. Your Honor, I believe sa ngayon there are no other investment other than the...
There are no investments.
Yes, sir.
Programs, projects, and activities na pinagkakakitaan ng Pcso, sources of funds.
Dun lang sa authorized numbers ngayon, sir.
So, you do not mind if we remove this power of the Pcso? Dahil hindi nyo naman ginagamit eh.
Yes, sir.
Alright. You also have in this bill the right to contract loans credits and indebtedness, whether domestic or foreign. Currently, what is the outstanding loan of Pcso?
Sir, currently, wala raw. And with regards to Your Honor, the first question, actually, tama nga na mawala yun because currently the Pcso is now facing litigation because the previous board before entered into a joint venture agreement with the corporation which has now sued the Pcso.
Alright, so pwede na rin to. Pwede rin pag-aralan ng ating chairman na alisin ito, ano? Alright, then there are, in the current setup, I think you have several entities holding the authority to operate online games. You know, Pcso, Pagcor, Aurora, Pacific, the Apeco, CESA. How would this bill, do you think, would affect or would affect? What will be the effect on online gaming of this bill if you've gone through it?
Well, Your Honor, the only way the Pcso could, is currently generating revenues is from its operations of the numbers games. Pagka madami ho yung mag-ooperate nito, definitely it will decrease the revenues which the Pcso is currently generating.
Because of time constraints, Mr. Chair, may I just ask the Pcso to submit your position papers on the briefs on the questions that I posed and these issues, no, pending in the bill, because it grieves me to say that I'm not satisfied with your answer. I don't think that is the proper way of handling it. So submit to us, no, and then we will we can look into the matter so that when we tackle the bill. Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Chair, kasingit po, may nag-text sa akin ngayon coming from the former mayor of Puerto Princesa. He was then the wedding czar during GMA's time. At ang sabi niya dito, isa lang solusyon dyan. Gawing nasyonal ang bola ng STL, Pcso bobola kagaya ng loto. Pag hindi nag-atrasan mga wedding lord dyan kasi hindi na sila makapangdaya. And Mr. Chair, I just want to share with you ng threat sa akin ni GM Balutan na sabi niya, I have 10,000 Marines watching over you. Gusto ko lang po na ilagay yan on the record. Kasi kung may mangyari sa akin, una siya dapat ang tawagan at yun, no? He has 10,000 Marines. Ewan ko kung anong klaseng to. Retirado ka na, may 10,000 ka pa.
Chairman, would you know the present strength of the Marine Corps?
I have no personal knowledge, sir, but I think less than 10,000.
Mr. Chairman.
I believe so too. Congressman
Mr.
Espino.
Chairman, thank you po. Bago po tayo mag-wind up, this is for Chairman Pinili. Hindi ko alam, Chairman, kung na-include nyo ng Pangasinan, yung speed game sa inyong mga board meetings. Alam naman natin lahat ngayon na anomalous, irregular, illegal yung pagkakanisto ng speed game. Pwede mong matanong kung kailan nyo i-terminate yun. I want your commitment now. Dahil illegal naman, alam natin lahat yan ngayon. Inamin na rin ni Ms. Gaboyo ito nung last hearing sa House.
We'll give you feedback, sir.
Next year?
As soon as possible, because I will deliberate with the board.
Salamat. Thank you. I'll take your word for that.
Mr. Chairman, last po, meron po sana.
Tomorrow may board meeting yata kayo eh. Pwede bang isama nyo na yan?
Wala pa kaming board meeting. But
Wala
tomorrow we have a house
mayroon pala
hearing.
tayo.
Baka pwede na kaming mag-answer noon. Opo.
Pwede na ba yun, Chairman? Bukas daw, sabi ni Board Director Cam.
We will coordinate, Your Honor, but tomorrow I will not be around because I'll be
Escape and evasion din, ano?
o taking ceremony at Malacanang.
Hindi escape and evasion yun.
Not escape and evasion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, hindi natin kayang i-contempt si AGM Gabuyo. Kasi
Vice.
she's lying to her teeth talaga.
Sige, Sandro. Anyway, Vice.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. With regards po sa clarification lang po, with regards po dun sa napag-meetingin nila sa board, with regards to the implementation of yung certificate of no objection for the provinces, cities, and municipalities. Gusto lang po namin sana malaman kung kailan po yung validity o yung implementation nun. Kasi po, syempre, like dun po sa amin sa Pangasinan, yung speed game, nakikita naman po naman na talaga namin, very anomalous yung ginagawa nilang operation in our province, especially in my city, in our city. No? So, ano po ba yung gagawin? Is there a timetable for the implementation or validity?
Kanino ba yung speed game? Kanino? Kanino? Sinong Aguilar? Ruben Reyes.
Yes, Your Honor. We just would like to know from the Pcso, Sir Chairman, with regards to the implementation of the certificate of no objection.
Your Honor. Yes, we discussed it during the previous board meeting. We will formalize it in the next board meeting by coming up with a resolution to that effect.
Thank you very much to the board, Attorney Santay, and to the chairman.
So, with that, again, we're suspending this hearing. I don't know where to start when we finally craft when we craft the final version of the bill, ano? Kasi lalong dumadami yung issues natin pinag-uusapan. So instead of moving on, seems that sabi ko, we're moving backward eh. How do we resolve all these issues?
Kasi nga,
Yung sa
maraming
STL pa lang-
nagsisinungaling dito,
Yung sa
sir.
STL pa lang, hindi na natin ma-resolve.
Mr. Chair.
Again, thank you very much for...
Mr. Chair,
sir.
before we suspend, may I request the Pcso to withdraw the IRR that they have submitted to the Office of the President because it's no longer current.
And also the submissions being requested or being asked by the majority leader. Don't forget,
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. So again, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
everyone.
bago po ang lahat, baka pwede natin patawag si Mr. Bong Pineda next hearing. Para once and for all, magkaharapan na dito.
Hindi mo rin mag-waiting yun pag nag-testify.